You bug. Another one bites the dust. Or for the thug with the burners that want to blast off. Another one bites the dust. And for the kids on the block shooting at the crooked cops. Wow. Bites the dust. And another one. Why clap? Dirty Cash. Young Free. Freddie, where you at? Brooks burn it down the street. And pull it out low. Some cat up in Brooklyn just got robbed with a shangle. Are you ready? Hey, are you ready for this? Are you hanging on the edge of your seat? Out of the doorway, the bullets rip. Repeat to the sound of the beat. Hey! My man got shot in the block, got hard. Another one bites the dust. Yo, hey, yo, I hear more shots, just like Fort Knox. Another one bites the dust. Yo. Yo, check it. If you a soldier at ease, my military style is known to murder Nazis. Brooklyn to Germany. My kamikaze will blow the U2. Then high Edie, I mean it's Timbuktu. Whether you into or do the voodoo, you can't foresee this unless I bring the previews. Yeah. Yo, it's the #1 rapping band. Yo, this review will be critically acclaimed. Leave you in critical pain, critically insane. The name Wyclef Jean with the yes, y'all better have a best, y'all. I'll blast and bless y'all. F y'all, the mark of the beast, the 666. Time running now. Listen to the tick. If you see what I saw, then you seen what I seen. If you know what I know, you know what I mean. Commanding officer of the Navy SEAL team. Once I get orders, you feel an infrared beam. All you critics saying another breed, man. Another one bites the dust. Yo, you know the deal. This is the master real. Another one bites the dust. And another one, right? And another one, right? Another one bites the dust. Freddie Mercury, where you at, yo? I didn't think you gonna get along without you. I need a break, yo. If you ready for the first of the month for that welfare, I need a break beat. I'm satisfied. How long can you stand it? I need a break beat. To the sound of the beat. Yo, bulletproof vest like the Wild Wild West. Another one bites the dust. Yo, this is stiff up. Now take off your Rolex. Another one bites the dust. Yo, dirty money, good money. Yo, it's all money. Another one bites the dust. Yo, dirty cash. The up bitches is dirty cash. Before the love for the cash, I blast you in my path. Keep my eyes on the map. Gas don't know the half. As far as I'm concerned, you gas the burning flame. This ain't no game. I will start calling names. Come get me if you know the 150. I'm in your refugee, ready the bus with me. Ready, filthy, in this rap. You're gonna have to kill me since you can't beat me. Prize, 30, cash with the greedy. Believe me, you gotta let me sound like R. Kelly. Fight another dust with my man Freddie Mercury. What hype that is that you gas wanna be crazy.
Practically, I tactically destroy, deploy more decoys than a presidential phone. While my whole envoy stay camouflaged out. And when I walk the street, I take the refugee route. This one go out to all my thugs in the borough. Soldiers stay thorough like Kilimanjaro. Split it with an arrow, my girl platoon roll. Out of control, the female Mandingo. Free, I fall from the egg of a seminarian. Don't go down cause I'm a vegetarian. And when I bust it, ain't a God we trust it. If you bring a gun, you better bring a black tuck.
She looked into my eyes and said FBI. Another one bites the dust. She said she loved me. She was a spy who lied. Another one bites the dust. Right. I could relate. Could you relate? Another one bites the dust. Jerry Wonder, Prada. Another one bites the dust. Yo, cannabis. Another one bites the dust. Yeah. Dirty cash and baby free. Another one bites the dust. And another one bites the dust. Now, baby.
What'd you think of my song selection, Kelly?
Oh, I was rocking. That was good.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm going for
That's original. I haven't heard that version before.
Yeah, no, that's Wyclef Jean and Pras Mitchell. And Queen, of course.
Nice.
Right?
Yeah.
Switched it up a little bit. I was thinking all week, I was like, I got to do another one bites the dust because I haven't done that one yet. Next on the list will be Shakedown Street.
Oh, I think it's apropos.
Right?
For, getting out some of these loony Congress people lying, cheating.
I mean, I cannot believe that some of them are even still in there. Like, what?
I know. Thought we were cleaning house.
I mean, I think we are. I think we're starting to see things really moving.
Yeah, you're right.
Ed Martin, the good thing is that Ed Martin, Dan Bongino, Kash Patel, Tulsi Gabbard, all of these people know everything that we know, for the most part.
You're right. So I don't know. I know it takes a while and to get everything together, because if you jump the gun too early, you're going to lose people, right? Or you're going to lose the case, not lose people, but lose the case.
Well, and you also have
Right.
to think that they've got people in there that are enemies, right?
Mhm.
So because they didn't go in and just like lock them all out, they've got
Right,
to be
right.
very careful in
Mhm.
how they've got to determine who is a bad guy, who's maybe not a bad guy, but was in a position where they couldn't really, do anything to help. It's got to be tough.
Well, didn't he Trump just make a post on social and probably carried over here about the Federalists, that he took their advice on judges and then he found out, oh, there's some deep states going on in there.
Yeah.
And so that's
Yeah.
why we got some bad judges out there.
Well, and that's, the thinker's whole argument is that the anti-federalists were right on the judges.
Huh.
Yeah. So, and I can't wait to get into that. That's going to be fun when we start those next month.
Right.
Next month, we'll start going through all those. I'm hoping to get some interactive stuff because they're not the most fun to read, but I feel like with things going on today, that every single one of those papers can be applied to different, real world shit.
Yep.
Oh, there's Christopher.
And hey,
Guys,
Jen.
repost the space. I'm gonna go out and share it because I haven't done that yet because I was finishing up Aiden's dinner while we were listening to Another One Bites the Dust, which you missed, Chris. I'm not going to sing now, so it's going to be quiet because Kelly and I are trying to share. Oh, there's Chris. Now you have somebody to talk to, Kelly.
Oh, good. Hey, Chris. What's up?
Hi, Kelly.
Hi, Chris. You sound like
Eeyore.
Eeyore. Yeah, exactly. Hi, Chris. How
Oh
are
my gosh.
you?
Yeah, somebody make that meme right now. Mr. Philby as Eeyore.
You know,
Tim, I need another tally in the Jen was right category.
you know,
We'll consult Cheney later.
I can just as well leave. You know that, right?
We love you. We would never want you to leave.
Yeah.
I'm excited you showed up.
Yeah, we wouldn't pick on you unless we loved you.
I'm busy.
Well, so
Oh,
are we. Cry me a
well,
river.
I appreciate you coming and taking time out of your busy, busy day to, sit in here with us and talk shit.
I have a business to run.
This is good for your mental health.
I'm loading up the purple pill with all this wonderful stuff we can talk about.
Yes, I can't wait. So Kelly was digging through because I said, I want to continue on this censorship stuff because we talked about Media Matters, the David Brock memo from 2018, 2020, and then 2022, 24. We went through the Time Magazine article that Molly Ball wrote. And next, we're going to kind of dig into some of these activist groups. So, like, I want to do Sunrise Movement and go through the count. But I'm thinking we'll do that next week. And so I was telling Kelly about it, and she went and dug up one of our Substacks, and it's got all kinds of stuff about censorship. It's got references to the Twitter files. It's got the Twitter file index. It's got just all the different things. And it does include the Zoom call. So we'll just kind of brush over that. And I sent a text to Millie and said maybe next week she could do it with us because I don't want to do that without her.
I've deemed it, I've got Never Forget the Great Age of Censorship. That's what we'll call it. The Great Age of Censorship.
Which mole to whack first, too.
Yeah.
Oh, it's going to be a lovely time. When do they come back? September?
Yeah, they're supposed to come back in September.
Well,
I just want to know. I would like to know once and for all. Okay, so if it's staffers writing the hundreds, I'm sure it's close to 200 now of bills while they're gone. You know, did they leave the staffers a note? Okay, write this up. And it's just, I have so many questions. All right.
Oh yeah, no, I think that again, I think it just needs a full gutting. I don't know if you like take half of it, clean it out, you know, get it as clean as you possibly can. It's sort of like paving a road, right?
Mm-hmm.
You do one side and then you do the other side. I don't know.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying these staffers are writing these bills, right?
Yeah.
They have to be, because they're not, the Congress people are gone.
No, when they come back, you know, they're going to start working on an omnibus bill,
Oh
and
yeah, of course.
and
That'll be our Christmas present.
they need to they need to break it up, and they need to have separate votes on what it is that they're trying to combine to get their Christmas tree.
But these bills are outside of that. These bills that they're writing up, these aren't the appropriation bills.
How many of them are there that they've put out in the last few weeks?
As
In
of
the last
Friday, it was 184.
184 bills that they've introduced
Since,
while not in session.
yes, that's what I'm talking about.
If they're not in session, how are they introducing bills? Because,
Exactly. Thank you.
you know, somebody has to be there to receive them.
Yeah, I mean, the most of them are already in committee. I've already been pointed to what committee. So I don't understand that process.
Committee unless they've been assigned by the speaker.
The speaker's gone. So who's doing it?
The speaker's gay.
Faking gay.
He's working from home.
No, they don't get to do that anymore. Those were Pelosi rules.
Well, then there's a ghost in the Capitol building that is publishing bills.
Well, they may be sitting at the desk.
Actually, Kim, I'm him, just for the record.
Along with the FAFO Act.
Hi, guys.
Hi, Rat.
Jen, long time. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Don't press your luck, Matt.
I'm trying not to.
Are you snickering?
Maybe not.
Wow. Wow. Well, how you doing today, Matt?
Just fine. Just fine. I'm always happy to hang out with you guys, and hear what's going on in DC or wherever the heck you people are. Um, what it's anyway. Good evening, everybody. It's always fun to be with y'all.
Well, we appreciate you being here. Did you happen to watch the Megyn Kelly MTG interview?
No. What did I miss?
Well, I only started it, so I haven't. It just dropped today, so I just got started with it.
It must have been spicy.
I mean, is there anything that MTG does that's not spicy at some point?
No, neither. And I think the same thing about Jen, but maybe I'm wrong.
Jen is spicy when she wants to be.
So is Philby, by the way. If y'all haven't heard Spicy Philby, you ain't heard nothing.
Oh, he's in a mood, so ready to go.
Let's see how many fires we can start tonight, huh?
Well, we are going to be talking about censorship, so that shouldn't be a problem.
All right. Well, in case anybody hasn't heard, everybody get out your fire retard. Darn it, your fire resistant clothes and repost the space, quote post the space to get yourselves ready.
I think fire retardant is way better.
Fair enough.
Did somebody say retarded?
Sure did. So Kelly put down in the bubble, I think. the Substack that we're going to kind of go through again, because it's been since what, 2023, Kelly?
Oh, yeah, 2022, 2023. I'll put it up in
So
the,
on December 2nd of 2022, Elon dropped the first of the Twitter files, and Mario had a big space. And that was when I got hooked. Like, I was all in. I wanted to hear all about it. I like totally divorced Real Housewives of every single city that I watched. And I was hooked on our government and what they had done to the American people. This is what drew me in. I was like, let's go. Expose it all. What do you think, Kelly, when they started dropping that stuff?
oh, that's what I got in. And that's when American Mission, that's when I met you guys too. Because that's when American Mission started getting into spaces as well, right? Right around that time frame.
Yep. And I
So,
found you rooting around in Discord.
oh
I'm
yeah.
like, God, this girl's really organized and she's got like a whole library. Like, what's going on here?
um,
So y'all met in Discord? So y'all met in a Discord room somewhere?
Well, yeah, we have a Discord. It's called the Crochet Club. And that's where we would put all of our, like, we would store all of our research documents and all that kind of stuff. We have things stored on pretty much every platform because we had to have redundancy because Jen and Dustin had been canceled. So we wanted to make sure that that didn't happen again, because when they got raided, they took not only their cell phones, but they also took their 1.5 million person email list, which was their livelihood. You know, they got people together. They rallied people together to, you know, air grievances to our government. And the government basically took their livelihood and stripped it away from them. So, in order to prevent that from happening to America Mission, you know, they built that whole thing up and had only to have it just completely stolen from them. They didn't want that to happen again. So that's why we were on Discord, we were on X, we're on Rumble, we're on QUX, we're on, I mean, you name it, we're on it. So, little backstory there. Chris, what did you think when you first heard about the Twitter files?
Oh, well, you know, contrary to popular belief, I- this came as no surprise to me because, y- you know, some people had had been following this uh, since back in 2007 when uh, when some no name senator from Illinois popped up out of nowhere and decided to run for president of the United States.
Oh, that was your entry point, huh?
And well, you know, I think that Al Gore's claim to have invented the internet was probably the entry point, but I digress. Um, you know, they've been doing this forever, but they got good at it when the World Wide Web became uh, a vehicle for them to be able to organize on a mass scale. Um, you know, when they had to do postcards and 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 mass mailings, um, you know, it was a little bit more difficult. Um, you know, back when Reagan was president. Um, I think that
You had to have a pretty extensive phone tree.
in the early 90s, with the invention, when AOL popped up, and then you had, um, bulletin board internet all over the place, then, people began to communicate in ways that they hadn't thought about communicating before. And,
That was such a small amount of people though, right? I mean, that was sort of your black sheep, your early adopters, and then your like hardcore conspiracy people like that really
I mean,
frequented that.
and then, this platform, uh, came into existence. Um,
During Obama's years.
yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
2008,
Yeah.
I guess. And so, that kind of I kind of put it, on a cell phone level. And it, if you had it started, I guess, on iPhone because it wasn't available on Android.
The iPhone came out in 2008 too.
And so, people had this communication, but I mean, email was a big deal.
You've got mail.
I mean, email lists were people did a lot of stuff by email. And, websites were something that you went to because you got an email. And, you had news websites and stuff, but, you know, cable TV was, the advent of cable TV also became, on a large scale, became a big thing. And then you had a 24-hour news cycle that came into being. And, that had to get filled. So, you know, the people on the right side of the aisle, they didn't, stop paying attention. And the things that didn't make sense, like Barack Obama, you know, that that was a bizarre thing
It
because,
was like a freight train out of nowhere. That's for damn sure.
well, you got a guy who gets elected senator from Illinois in a very bizarre way. Okay, he basically steals the Senate seat.
Wait, explain.
Well, they created a situation where the person who was going to be elected senator from Illinois was knocked out of the position to do that because of a a technical snafu, and Obama became the de facto candidate.
Wait, what was the defective snafu?
It, they they weren't qualified. They disqualified this candidate.
On what grounds? Like he didn't get enough like petitions or what?
Um,
Or was they like looked into his financials or
it was a woman, and
oh,
they 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 challenged her candidacy, and they won, and Obama became the candidate. And there's some serious question as to whether or not that was legitimate.
Boy, I bet that lady really hates him.
And so Obama became Democrat nominee, and in Illinois, that pretty much guarantees you the nomination and the election. So he became the senator from Illinois, and in less than 2 years, he runs for the Democratic nomination. Well, nobody knows who this dude is. You can't get any background information on him. His college records are sealed. You can't, it, all the way down to the fact that you can't even find his birth certificate. And he's running against Hillary Clinton, who became elected the senator from New York under somewhat mysterious circumstances because another Kennedy died or disappeared in a plane accident, presumed dead. So she took that seat. That was um, Robert F. Kennedy Sr.'s Senate seat that he gave up because he was assassinated when he was running for president. And so it was assumed that she was going to be the Democratic nominee. And so it was put out that he was a community organizer. Except nobody ever saw this dude on the street.
He's a ghost.
And so
Like he came out of nowhere.
so his campaign starts going to all these states that don't have primaries. He goes to these states that have caucuses, okay? Because you don't have to do a lot of work in caucus states because people show up in little groups and you can browbeat people into voting for you. And if a lot of people don't show up, it's not hard to win. And traditionally in primaries or in caucuses, you don't get a huge turnout.
So this is what really lit you
So,
into like politics,
so
right?
he began to accumulate delegates in these caucus states, which gave him momentum.
So you were watching all of this kind of going, what the fuck is going on here?
And and nobody on the Democrat side was checking this dude out.
Well, no, because Oprah gave him, Oprah.
But this is Hillary Clinton's opponent. And Bill Clinton was the
Well,
president of the United States.
come to find out, okay, that
Now he was the impeached president, but still
right, but
is still a popular guy.
now that we know what we know, Chris, about how bitchy she was and what a tyrant she was, I mean, do you think that the Democrats knew that? Or do you think that it was time for Obama to get in there? They had their guy, they were going to put him in no matter what. And
I think so.
She had commitments from the superdelegates.
Kim, I knew she was a nasty bitch, right? We had Secret Service coming out from the Clinton administration that we were writing articles about, coming out and being like, yeah, so this one night, I'm trying to remember the context of the story. I'll have to ask Dustin to see if he remembers it. But it's like, Hillary was in the limo, and I want to say it was like Chelsea, right? Because Hillary was known for getting into fights at the White House and throwing things, like taking it and fucking in that shit, right? She don't give a fuck.
So what
So
they
they
didn't
were
break, they
in,
stole.
no, so I want to say they were in the limo. Bill and Hillary get into a fight, and she takes the, you know how in limos there's like the rocks bottles, like the big ass glass bottles, the heavy ones. Okay, she took those and started throwing them out the window, like throwing them in the limo, throwing them out the window, right? Like it was a well-known fact that Hillary was a psychotic bitch, right? But she also, remember, she was tweeting out, "Happy birthday, Madame President." Okay. It is Hillary's life goal, right? She sees her path to be president of the United States. That is what Hillary sees herself as. She probably still sees herself as this, right? And no one was going to stop her, right? She had already capitulated to Obama, right? It was supposed to be her in 2008, not Obama, right? So 2016, right? It was Hillary's turn. And guys, you have to go back and watch the election night coverage, right? From election night on 2016, right? Because what that shows you is everybody thought that Hillary had it in the bag, right? They had stolen the election for Hillary just like they did in 2020, right? But they didn't factor in the people who would never speak a word about Donald Trump. The people who would outwardly go out and say, "I can't stand the guy. He's a pedophile. He's this, he's that." And then walked into the voting booth and was like, "Sorry, Hill Dog, we're voting Trump today because you're a psycho bitch." They did not factor in those people, right? So they didn't steal it enough. Right. So they had everybody at the Jacob Javits Center. And the reason they had them at the Jacob Javits Center is because the ceiling of the Jacob Javits Center was glass. And Hillary was going to break the glass ceiling, right? So they held her election night party at the Jacob Javits Center. So when she won, right, they were going to be able to say, "Look, Hillary broke the glass ceiling," right? Except remember, you're having two election night parties in the city of New York, right? And we know because like we were like close with Bannon at this point and people who were in the room on election night, right? Sean Spicer and Reince Priebus, right? Reince Priebus was head of the RNC, right? They packed up their bags at 6 o'clock to go join Hillary's election night party. Everybody had left and went down there to the Hillary thing, like all the bad people, right? Obviously, all the good people stayed with President Trump. All the bad people went down to the Jacob Javits Center. And guess what? When he won, Reince Priebus and Sean Spicer had to walk into Trump Tower like dogs with their tail between their legs, carrying their bags, like, "We're here to work." Like, why do you think Trump went into the Oval Office with a skeleton crew of maybe 20 people? Maybe 20 people. Right. And then they insert Reince Priebus in the same exact position as Bannon in the White House. What the hell did you think was going to happen? What did
I
you
mean,
think
they
was going to
walked into a
happen?
trap. They walked into a hostile trap. They had no idea what they were doing. I mean, I can't even imagine how puckered their buttholes were.
Right. So, like, you have to realize, right? Trump in 2016 was not Trump in 2024, right? We didn't have like, yeah, we had the MAGA people supporting us, right? But it wasn't like a overwhelming sense of like, okay, Trump's going to win here, right? The overwhelming sense was we are fucked. We're probably all going to prison. If you're a Breitbart reporter, you know, Hillary did fly to Reno, Nevada, where Dustin and I were living, and proceed to give the deplorable speech. And she specifically pointed out the Breitbart reporters, right? So at that point, we're looking at it. We're like, oh, this ain't going to end well for us. Not
But,
going to end well.
but as it turned out, that was the speech that cost her the election.
I mean, I would argue there was a couple key moments, right, that cost her that election, right? One of the major ones, right, were when those freaking emails dropped, right? When she got up in front of the world and said, "Oh yeah, I cleaned." They're saying I cleaned it with a cloth, bleach bit, like. Wait, so you're actually like addressing what we're talking about here. You're actually giving credence to what you're talking about, because if someone, this is what drives me nuts on X, right? If someone's making a verifiably false claim about you, by you responding, all you're doing is giving credence to that statement, right? That's why you won't see me go out and defend myself all the time, right? Why am I going to sit here and give credence to a verifiably false statement, right? All I'm doing is saying, oh, this bothers me enough that I'm going to sit here and write a response.
Well,
It'd be a
so
waste of time, first of all.
yeah, exactly. Well, I do want to point people's attention to Up in the Nest. There's an article that Miss Kelly put together back in, way back in the day. It was published on April 11th of 2023, and I'm just going to kind of skim through some of the the bullet points, and also I'm going to get into a little bit of it. But I want you guys to see, we hear all the time, oh, we've been talking about this forever. We've been talking about this. I've been talking about this. I do this, blah, blah, blah. Well, here you go is receipts that we've been talking about this for a long time. So April of 2023, okay, and it's titled, "It's the long overdue call on your legislators, demand investigation of corrupt relationship between DHS and EIP. The truth is out there. It's been there all along. Now it's time to act," right? So this was what, 4 months, 5 months after the first Twitter file had dropped. And if you scroll down, what's interesting is it gets, we're talking about some different things. She put some spaces in there that we've done, which I highly recommend listening to, because it was the height of Trash and Jen and Dustin. They would co-host spaces all the time.
And Kim, this is when too that Twitter allowed us to download spaces, right?
Yes.
And that
Yes.
space, that first one I'm seeing, it's like 6 hours long. And they
Yeah.
can't, and if it goes away on X, it may not be there anymore, but we got it, baby.
That's right. That's right. And so if you scroll down, you'll see where the Twitter files. So we got the Twitter files and spaces. So we have the Twitter files repository, and then we've got spaces links for all of the spaces that we did on the Twitter files. So you'll hear Trash talk about how Renee DiResta cited him, and on spaces and stuff like that. That space is in there. There's so many great spaces, and I'm just going to read the titles of some of these. So we have America Missions Midday, from Blacklist to Big Brother, doubling down. We have Big Tech's 230 versus Your Rights, Government to ban platforms at will. You'll know what we want you to know. Big Government gets called out for weaponizing social media. You've mastered the it says, America Mission to Congress. You've mastered investigation. How about indictment? And then also to talk about the Restrict Act and all of that. Those spaces are in there as well. But then you scroll down and you've got talking about Twitter, Jack admitting that they had a partnership with the government, talking about Facebook and CISA's relationship. And then there's a video in here that I'm going to play. It's our dear friend Shelby Pearson, who just actively talks about how us plebes don't deserve to know everything, and that they need to censor it all. So I'm going to play this real quick, and then we'll get into a little bit more. Maybe I'm going to play it. Oh, it's not going to play. I don't think, it might be not embedded in there. Anyways, here we go. Oh, I got to click on the link. Duh. All right, here we go. And many others talk about publicly the very good work in terms of sharing information from the intelligence community with social media platforms
to consider relative to their terms of service how to remediate inauthentic content. The Office of the Director of National Intelligence would have only been authorized to participate in Trump National Security Council approved and coordinated process for election security briefings to groups of private companies. So it would include companies like Twitter, but many other companies, YouTube, Microsoft, as well as state election officials to talk about threats. None of those meetings, but Maria, would have had anything to do with content moderation, much less anything to do with specifically about the Biden laptop as Russian disinformation. So there never would have been any authority or reason for anyone within the intelligence community to be saying anything otherwise. I think that's pretty clearly stated. And in looking at the Twitter files, I did look and see in Matt Taibbi's Substack where he said there were weekly meetings between the FBI and DHS and Twitter. And I know there are whistleblowers that are saying that as well. But Matt Taibbi also said there was only one reference to my office and someone liaising with my office. And I assume I certainly hope that was part of the National Security Council approved process for election security briefings.
That was John Ratcliffe. So he was kind of trying to cover his butt. But again, we're finding out that a lot of this stuff was kept away from the Trump administration. They had whole apparatuses set up in place to do all kinds of stuff without the Trump administration knowing.
So was he NSA? Was he
He was ODNI.
ODNI then? Yeah.
Yeah. And we come to find out later that you've got Shelby Pearson and you've got Bill Ebenina that were actively creating like questionnaires for people, like how to rat out your neighbors. They were setting out instructions on how to do it.
I've been to.
All right. So let's see. This one is Shelby Pearson talking about domestic censorship on social media and justifying the intelligence community for its foreign sponsor. If we're aware that this information is foreign sponsored, we want to do everything that we can to manage this information. So here's an audio file. Hang on. Maybe.
As broad and free speech as possible. That we know that Americans are spreading misinformation. Sometimes they're doing it deliberately. Sometimes they're not at all doing it deliberately. It can be a post on social media that we don't know is fake. Is that a bigger threat to the election than foreign interference? Well, I think there's two aspects of that. Let's be very clear that, of course, the federal government encourages and wants as broad and free speech as possible. That is a principle of our country, and it's probably one of the most valuable cornerstones of our society. So we want people to engage in public exchange, political exchange, and to have that freedom unfettered from foreign interference. But at the same time, I think we also want to make sure that if we or the firms involved are aware that this information is foreign sponsored and is covert in terms of its sponsorship to the user, we want to do everything we can to manage that information. In addition, as I mentioned in the opening part of my statement, this is a partnership. And it's not a partnership that stops within the federal government. I am keenly aware of the pressure that my state and local colleagues face every day as those that are responsible for securing the election. The exposure of the intelligence community to my state and local partners, again, through DHS and FBI, has been remarkable. To really mutually understand one another, I think has been a critical step forward since 2016. But it can't stop there, because we also have constituencies among social media firms and among tech firms who also have cognizance and information and opportunity that the intelligence community or the U.S. government doesn't have. And again, I think you've seen and have read about the opportunities that we are pursuing to continue to integrate that relationship with the constituencies, again, in Silicon Valley and in our private firms, to make sure that even that seam and gap is stitched.
I'm actually be proud to talk about that, Arun. I think, from my perspective, what we accomplished the past 2 years, but specifically the last 6 to 9 months, as an integrated, holistic government effort in partnership with social media and tech firms is unprecedented. And I think it's really going to be the model of the future moving forward.
But it also doesn't stop there. And it gets back to my opening comment that civil society is also a key player here. Whether you're part of the press, or you're part of academia, or you're part of special interest groups, or you're part of NGOs, there's an entire body of expertise that also informs the voting population. So you can't simply have the feds tackling this. You can't simply have the states tackling this. You can't simply have tech firms and social media firms tackling this. We need an entire whole of society, seamless opportunity, working together to understand the threats that come with election security and countering malign influence. That is a synergy that is still in work. I think you've heard us and many others talk about publicly the very good work in terms of sharing information from the intelligence community with social media platforms to consider relative to their terms of service how to remediate inauthentic content. The Office of the Director of National Intelligence would have only been... Okay, yeah, so that's just some of our lovely people at the ODNI talking about how they, basically were just so very, very proud of the work that they were doing to have this cohesive relationship with the social media networks so that they could make sure that nobody got that dangerous, dangerous disinformation.
Just remember, Kim, whoever has control of the flow of information ultimately has control. And what you hear in those clips is it wasn't necessarily the social media, it wasn't ultimately, rather, the social media companies. It was those people. It was government bureaucrats giving we the people the proverbial middle finger, and and saying we're going to do this anyways because we can, and nobody's going to tell us no.
Exactly. Go ahead, Southern. Nice to see you.
Hey, y'all. I think it's important about John Radcliffe. John Radcliffe came across a document that kind of opened this door, but he needed to be in the CIA to get his hands on it. He's our CIA director because I got a little nervous during the confirmation hearings because he was so prompt. There was no Russiagate and the whole, Obama, Hillary, all involved, et cetera, et cetera. He's on camera. He speaks very simply and he's quiet. But he is now our CIA director, and he was able to find it. But what I find the most interesting is all the burn bags that weren't burnt in that little special room that nobody ever went in. And I hope someday we know who that person is, because that person is a patriot. And I hope we know that name at some point.
No, I agree with you. But, I will tell you this. He was, I think he was like one of the first people to get confirmed, right? And it was very
Made me
quiet.
nervous.
It was very quiet. It was just sort of, I think that he may have gotten in there pretty, easily.
Yep.
And that made me nervous too, because I was like, wait a minute, this guy was already in there. Now, granted, he came in late to the party, right? And so I'm sure that he'd had many discussions with Trump about, let me back in there, coach, because I know where stuff's at, and I think that he's strategic in that way. But it was very interesting that he got in without a whole bunch of fanfare and,
Yeah, that's what made me nervous. Thank you for doing that because my brain's fried. I have been down a rabbit hole for my company, and I swear to God, I'm trying to remember people I know.
Oh, I
Names right now.
understand.
I am so wiped out. This has been going on for a while. But John Radcliffe and and you got to remember, he was in the House. And David Nunes, who did a lot of the paper deep dive, he would just he would push for time where he could be what we call the stacks. I would call the stacks paper, and he found things. John Radcliffe came across something with Brennan, and once he got into the CIA, he could get his hands on it because even when Trump was president, John Radcliffe couldn't get the CIA to do something. And look at where he sat. DNI. He was over all the intelligence agency, and they were slow rolling, and they were never, ever going to let him have that information. So I don't care who's president. If you cannot have control and the right leadership in all those positions, that was what Trump went through in 2016. It was like Jaws every day from every angle. And we're seeing him break through that. But unfortunately, as Jennifer has told me many times, there's still a lot of bad actors in there that have been appointed, or they just move them from department to department, but they're still doing their origin job. And that's a problem.
Oh yeah, they're running. They're running.
Dude was swimming with sharks that time. Southern.
Oh, 100%. He was swimming in a barrel with sharks.
Oh, and that we should remember the little Trump story. Oh, that electrical wire on the boat. Wow. It's in the water. Wow. You shouldn't jump into the water. And I'm not sure what he was trying to get us to see. And that was, I've always pondered about that one. But maybe it was an analogy for the bad actors who say they're good actors. I don't know.
And last time I checked, Kim and Southern, if you ain't a shark in a pool of sharks, you're probably lunch.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, the next thing that this thread outlines is Jen Lawrence put out a tweet, and it says Transition Integrity Project, TIP, collaboration between establishment Democrats and anti-Trump Republicans. Convened war games, exercises suggesting the likelihood of a contested election scenario and of ensuing chaos should President Trump refuse to leave office. September 3rd, 2020, Rosa Brooks. What's the worst that could happen? The election will likely spark violence and a constitutional crisis. Founder of TIP, Rosa Brooks, is a longtime close associate of George Soros and his Open Society Foundation. Special counsel to the president at George Soros' Open Society Foundation, and as a board member of the Open Society Foundation. George Soros and his Open Society Foundation have played key roles in the color revolutions in Eastern Europe, including the famous Orange Revolution and the Euromaidan Revolution in Ukraine. Notable participants in the Transition Integrity Project: Norm Eisen, Bill Kristol, Never Trumper, Russiagate, board member, Keep America Safe, a national security think tank co-founded by Liz Cheney and Deborah Burlingame, vehemently opposed the nomination of Donald Trump as a Republican candidate for president in 2016, the founding director of Republican Voters Against Trump, a project of defending democracy together, launched in May of 2020. Daughter Anne is married to writer Matthew Continetti, editor-in-chief of the Washington Free Beacon website, and son Joseph, legislative director for Senator Tom Cotton and David Frum. So she was outlining some of these actors, and again, some of the names you've heard before, like Norm Eisen and Rosa Brooks and George Soros, but maybe you haven't heard of Matthew Continetti, and let's see who else is in there.
David Frum.
That's right.
Continenti I have heard of, because wasn't he the editor of like the Washington Free Beacon?
Yeah.
Which was the outlet that originally got the Russiagate stuff. And that was information that was originally going to be used, or no, they originally had it, and then when it was clear Trump was going to be the nominee, that's when the stuff somehow it got to the Democrats in the Clinton campaign. So yeah, totally know who that guy is. Total loser as far as I'm concerned.
2020 and 2021 was just a bloodbath, because for those people who were awake, right, you're watching the literal enemy walk into the hen house. I mean, there is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You've got people like, Alex Soros and George Soros just like, hey, we're home, let's go. They had their finger on the pulse.
They trashed the place, no pun intended.
Yeah.
They trashed the place.
That's probably why we launched 3 national DC rallies and 2 nationwide bus tours.
That's exactly right.
As you should have.
Right.
As you should have.
Well, then Jen posted Citizens for Responsibility and Ethics in Washington, or CREW, and the States United Democracy Center. So Eisen was with Crew, but has since founded a new organization as founder and executive chair called States United Democracy Center. Christine Todd Whitman, founder, co-chair, famous for telling first responders that's the air after 9/11 was safe, that the air after 9/11 was safe, has since had to apologize. Then you've got Joanne Lidgate, founder and CEO, advisory board, Michael Steele, Bill Weld, Tom Ridge, Michael Chernoff, and Janet Napolitano. States United has on their board 3 former heads of the DHS. Thompson's civil suit against President Trump has been used, the domestic war on terror by the DHS following January 6th, and the United States or States United appears to pick up where Crew left off. When it is not targeting so-called election deniers running for office, the United States is directly engaged in anti-Trump lawfare related to January 6th. So there's that. Oh, it's just so much. It's crazy. Let's see. And then she wrote, this story is not told enough. The only other person who was on the call with Joe Biden and Ukrainian President Petro Poroshenko was a woman named Anna McAndrew. Among a variety of other high-level White House and UN-related Russia and Ukraine positions she held during Obama's presidency, like during all of the shady Ukraine money stuff with Hunter. After leaving the White House, Anna joined Facebook under Anna's guidance. The censorship at Facebook became weaponized, probably because she was the head of content election moderation. Weird. I wonder why all the Hunter Biden Ukraine stuff was censored. During this time, a historic deal between Facebook and the Atlantic Council, which became the Digital Forensics Research Lab, was made. Now add in her fake Russia hoaxer group of hack journos that she was spending multiple weekends with at a private house in Lou Beach, New York. Right before these hacks would print egregious false fake Russia hoax stories against President Donald J. Trump. One even got a Pulitzer Prize for a proven fake story. This group of hacks were responsible for such articles as the GQ magazine Melania Trump and the BuzzFeed Steele dossier story. See what happened there. Maybe we should start looking into these relationships. Yeah. So yeah, this was definitely again another arm. So you had David Brock doing what he was doing with Norm Eisen, and then you had Anna McAndrew working with Facebook, and I'm sure there was a point person for Google and a point person for Twitter, and you know what the Twitter files told us. You know, I mean, it was blatant censorship. They were doing keyword searches and then just canceling anybody who had anything to do with, even if they like reposted it. It was crazy.
I thought you were going to say that they were censoring anything that had to do with Pizzagate, but I'm pretty sure that wasn't it.
That was, I mean, yeah, I think that Pizzagate, well, you have to look at the timeline. So Pizzagate was what, 2016?
Yeah,
When
it was
that came
during
out?
that cycle. It was
Yeah,
during that.
so you had that, and then of course Pizzagate was sort of like the turnkey model that they did that one, and then when they saw that they got away with touching children, okay, harming children, they were like probably looked at 2020 election deniers and COVID as like a walk in the park because they were able to snowball, you know, or to get one over on the American people with Pizzagate. They were like, whoa, this is all downhill from here.
It's a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah, no doubt about it. All right. So I was going to hop into the Twitter files just a little bit and give a brief, kind of, you know, hey, let's go down memory lane and talk about some of these guys. So I'm pulling them up. And while I'm doing that, guys, please repost the space, bottom right-hand corner, click on the bubble, and then click on the arrows going around in a square. I am looking at all right. So, you know what? Kelly, do you have the link for Terrible's where she put them all together? Do we have that?
You're probably going to ask for something I don't have.
I know you have it somewhere because we just recently used it. I know
We
you
did.
can, huh?
We did. Okay.
Yeah, because I don't remember what we were doing. Oh, we were talking about putting a something together where everything was, and you were like, she's already done it. I guess I can just look her up.
No, how long ago was this?
Oh, oh. Uh, you guys is as good as mine.
So she
So
recently, okay.
so where do you Southern, where were you and what did you think when you found out about the Twitter files? It was December 2nd of 2022 was when the first one dropped.
I really woke up. I knew it was bad, but I had no idea how bad it was. One thing that's our right is freedom of speech. We, the people, and to find out, and not only about the Twitter files, I read everything, Matt Taibbi, all of them. And, and Elon made a point. He said, everybody thought it was a conspiracy theory, but 6 months later, it's true and it's true and it keeps going. They're all true. But to see the FBI, Elvis, out of Los Angeles, or wherever, no, he was probably in San Francisco. He was always in the Twitter office, taking them out to lunch, finding out what's going on, send me anything that's really negative to our party and who's running and all of that mess. They had their thumb on the scale. And that's when I realized we no longer have free speech. I mean, I was used to mainstream media or legacy media, whatever you want to call them, to be very biased because all these people went to school together. They all know each other personally. They're all in the bubble in DC and they want to stay in the cool kids club. So they're happy to shade information or lie or omit or take an interesting narrative like an Adam Schiff and all these other people. Adam Schiff, by the way, banned Matt Taibbi, got social media to ban him for almost 6 years. He could not get on anything. They banned him. And he also knew the name of the whistleblower, and he said it was a nothing type person. It was like fourth hand information, admin, and a lot of pieces got filled in, which Matt Taibbi said, I think Adam Schiff shaped it. So, and then to find out that Schiff was all leaking to the New York Times while head of the Intel Committee. Now, think about that. That is a committee that should have a leader who's honest and you know what he or she stands for. And to find out it was Adam Schiff, because if he made his party happy, Nancy Pelosi would pat him on the shoulder. He would become senator in California. And I hate to say it, he thinks he's going to be president one day. And this is what Trump walked into. And to me that's when I got invested. I've always been an educated voter who I voted for or who not to. But I realize all the underlying layers, and I'm learning from y'all because if I can get educated, I can share it with other people in my local area so that we can do better because we can. And I've learned how much we can impact on a local level. So I think the Democrats have been breaking these laws and not honoring our Constitution and surely do not care about us at all. We now see that, but we didn't do our job. And I'm responsible for that as well. I'm a boomer. I was not a get out and help people vote or anything because I was sucked down in my crazy career and my family. And I thought we were all educated voters. And I realized how long we had been dictated in PSYOP for so long. And when you meet real people like Jennifer and everything that she went through, I always want to reach across and give her a big hug I could probably just pick her up. I'm 5'11" and give her a big hug. But she lived through the trauma of this. And she and Dustin didn't do anything wrong. They stood up with their right of free expression and tried to help Trump and put their lives into that. And we need to respect and honor people like this. And I'm proud that I know Jennifer because I think she's still suffering and she needs to be made whole. And and that's a difficult thing to do when your own government takes everything away from you. You feel powerless. And you can't even bank, you can't do things. And she did nothing wrong. And that is something that we know this now. And that's why we got to get our little biscuits, as my daughter's gym teacher would say, get your biscuits out there and vote and educate within your family, your community, where you go, church, etc., and stand up and realize your voice matters. And because of the lightning rod with Jennifer, we have seen, we know the people that got hurt. And when you get to know those people and you find out they were standing up for God and Trump, and if we didn't have Trump, where would we be right now? Because he started in 2016 disrupting this. And I remember something, I was looking through something last night and it kept sticking to my head, but I like receipt. John F. K. Jr. and Trump were very good friends when he lived in New York. And JFK Jr. wanted him to run for president. And let's just say, I now believe Trump knew so much more when he came in. And I am not in real estate, but I know that New York City is one of the toughest real estate markets in the country because you have bad actors, you have the mob controlling cement. They tried everything to compromise Trump. And I don't have to hear it to believe it. I've heard it from the real people that were around. And, as frustrated as we get with X and what they do, we have spaces. We can talk to the whole world and we can listen to people from around the world. Sometimes I'm doing research in Iran and I wiggle it back in and it's in my backyard. It stuns me. And I think AI unintentionally has allowed us, because what is AI doing? They're picking up all the print material. That's kind of hard to get rid of. And they can kind of control the ... land, but they can't control paper wherever it is. And this stuff is popping up everywhere. Then you can start putting the dots together and then we can prove it. And I always love it when finance people come in because they follow the money. And Data Republican is good at that. So please continue to send Data Republican anything you find. It may take her a while to get around it because she's very focused on what she's doing, but it's going to help her collect some dots where she can kind of build this momentum.
Oh my gosh,
So,
that is so funny that you said the dots. And then I'm going to get to Kelly. But in this Substack article that Kelly put together, she put this piece and it says, without context, a piece of information is just a dot. It floats in your brain with a lot of other dots and doesn't mean a damn thing. Knowledge is the information in context connecting the dots. That's a quote by Michael Ventura. That is so perfect that you said that. Go ahead, Kelly. You're just a genius.
Well, thanks. I try. No, I do appreciate it. I just, I didn't find, the other thread I'll to put together you're talking about, but we do have, it's a capsule summary of all the Twitter file threads 1 through 15 with links to glossary. If you were looking for that kind of thing, it's up in the nest, and I also put it on the back channel on X.
Perfect. Yep, that's what I was looking for. Because I mean, we're not going to get into all of them, but I did want to like just go through some of the titles of
Yeah,
them.
it's a high level. And then I've got the other ones too. There were like 4 more. And I can just put that on a post. So anyway.
Yeah. All right. So like, I'm going to go through this. This is capsule summaries of all the Twitter file threads to date with links and a glossary. For those who haven't been following, a compilation of 1-paragraph summaries of all the Twitter file threads by every reporter with links and notes on key revelations. This is why Kelly is so valuable, because she finds stuff that is just incredible. It's just incredible. And I mean, she could just find it, just go do it whenever. Doesn't matter. I wish I could do that. All right. So it's January 4th of 2023, which means Twitter files stories have been coming out for over a month. Because these are weedsy tales and may be hard to follow if you haven't from the beginning, I've written up capsule summaries of each of the threads by all of the Twitter file reporters and added links to the threads and accounts of each. At the end, in response to some readers who found some of the alphabet soup government agency names confusing, I've included a brief glossary of terms to help as well. Oh yeah, we're going through those. So in order, the Twitter file threads, Twitter files part 1 was on December 2nd of 2022. I remember it like I was camping. I totally ignored the people I was camping with, and I sat on that space with Mario, and Elon came in. It was like I mean, I had goosebumps. I was like, this is the most exciting thing I've ever heard.
Hey, Kim, I have to drive real quick. You want to make somebody else co-host? I'll jump in as a speaker once I get where I'm going.
Okay. Yeah. I will make Chris. Just
I got you, Kim.
Oh,
Oops.
you
Never.
Matt, you want to do it? That's fine.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure. I got to bounce at 9, but yeah.
We're just gonna play Ring Around the Rosie with the co-host. It's fine. All right. So the first file was on December 2nd, 2022, Twitter and the Hunter Biden laptop story, recounting the internal drama at Twitter surrounding the decision to block access to a New York Post expose on Hunter Biden in October of 2020. Key revelations. Twitter blocked the story on the basis of its hacked materials policy, but executives internally knew the decision was problematic. Quote, can we truthfully claim that this is part of the policy, end quote, is how comms official Brandon Borman put it. Also, when a Twitter contractor polled members of Congress about the decision, they hear Democratic members want more moderation, not less, and the First Amendment isn't absolute, quote. Oh my gosh. 1A Twitter file supplement, December 6th of 2022 by Matt Taibbi. The exiting of Twitter Deputy General Counsel Jim Baker. A second round of Twitter files releases was delayed as new addition Barry Weiss discovers former FBI General Counsel and Twitter Deputy General Counsel Jim Baker was reviewing the first batches of Twitter file documents whose delivery to reporters had slowed. So this guy was still in there and he was slow walking the release of the information to Matt Taibbi, Barry Weiss, and Michael Schellenberger.
And by the way, Kim, let's remember Baker was formerly with the FBI.
Yeah.
Or otherwise known as the FBI.
Yeah.
Before he was over at X.
Yeah.
What we now know as X, formerly Twitter. Twitter then, whatever.
Even better. Matt Taibbi was looking at Twitter docs, and this is post Baker being at Twitter. He was still included in all the emails under CC. So Taibbi reached out to Elon, and he freaked out, not happy.
I remember that day, man. That guy, oof, what a little weasel.
Who, Elon or Taibbi?
No, Jim
Oh,
Baker.
Baker.
Jim Baker, my bad.
Yeah, the antagonist in this story. All right, I'm gonna get to Melissa real quick, and then we'll go on to number 2. That was just number 1.
Guys, everything that you guys have brought up is just proof that we need to get an Article 5 convention and get all of our states together, and we've got to put some limits on Congress. We need term limits. We need limits of power. We need limits on what they can and cannot do or change in the original Constitution, and stop the the grifting, the money and the NGOs and everything else. This is the only way that we have a voice. The absolute only way we can do any of that. Because you know damn good and well, there is not a congressman or a senator in that fucking DC that is going to volunteer to give up their job. It's just not going to happen. And we don't need to have people's um, their
Well, we don't
terms
want to convince. We don't.
last.
Well, so convention of states is definitely an option. However, that you need to have no corruption in the states in order to do that. And quite frankly, our states
It's
are.
hold on. It's not the states. It's the people. We have to do this, not the state, not the governor, not any of that. It comes down to the people. We vote on those things.
Right, but it's the states legislatures that do the convention of states. So that's
But they have to follow the people.
right. But how much are they following the people right now?
Well, I think right now everybody's a little bit on the pissed off side. I think everybody's got a side of had enough.
Right.
Not
Well,
the
the
Democrat
state legis-
states, not the Democrat governor. They would
I'm
block
in
it.
a
Right.
Democrat state. I live in Illinois. The worst of one of the worst of the like 4 most corrupt states
You're definitely in
with
the
the
top five.
worst governor. Oh, Pritzker's right up there with Newsom right now. You know, if I had the guts to go and take them both out, I probably would, but I'm not that gutsy, or that stupid. But
Well, I
they're on
definitely
my
think
shit list.
I think that there is a solution where listen, either way, we're going to have to like really get in there and unite and strong arm. And we've got an election coming up next year where hopefully there is enough people woken up that we can get some of these incumbents out of there. Ideally, we want to
We've
turn the whole damn thing over. But, if we can't, we can at least start the process. We know what we've got to do. It's just like Trump, right? When he got back in there, he knew exactly what he needed to do. And
right.
this is the time right now for us to make sure that we are analyzing the different races that are going on, finding the ones that are low hanging fruit, finding the ones that we're going to need to put some effort into, and finding the ones that we're going to have to put massive attention on. So that's
Number
what the
one, you have to
process is.
find the right candidate to run. Somebody
Well,
you trust,
well,
somebody that has that common sense and business sense and worldly sense, global sense. You got to
Moral
find the right
sense.
person. Huh?
Morality.
here's the issue with candidates is that you could get them in there and then they turn out to be a bust.
Well, then
That's
we've got a solution for that, because every time that we get candidates in there, we always just leave them to their own devices, and then we all go hurry, run off, and start with like we got to start working on the next election instead of
Right.
supporting and fostering relationships and making them accountable. If they have to come into spaces once a month or once a quarter and answer questions, they're going to act a lot differently than if they, are left to their own devices to go to cocaine and hooker
Correct.
parties.
well, that's true.
Correct. And so that paradigm has to change as well. Is that you can make these people have to actually A, answer for the stuff they do, but B, don't ever let them forget who put them there. We did. We put
Well,
them up there, and they answer to us, not the other way around. All right, Kim, do we
But
want to take this hand before we move on?
Yeah,
hold on. Let me finish.
go ahead. No, go
Let me
ahead,
finish
Melissa.
off what I was going with. We've got to find the candidates ourselves. It's the people that aren't even thinking about running that would make the best candidates. You know, think about it. Think about people that are in the business world or that are well known in their community and or service members or somebody that is on the up and up. And they may not want to get into politics. But if we can get them to at least serve 1 or 2 terms and then get out, you can go right back to your life. I think we can do it, but we've got to get people that are smart. And if we go find them, not let them just go run willy nilly, because that's what we keep getting stuck with. And we walk into a voter's
Right.
booth and we vote for the lesser of 2 evils. Does anybody else
Right.
feel that way when they go to vote?
Oh yeah,
Well, here's the thing. You've got of course you're stuck voting for the lesser of two evils, but that's a false choice. Okay? That is a false choice. You're not choosing between the lesser of two evils. You're choosing between evil and evil. If you really want to be that cynical
Well,
about it.
I'm
but
in Illinois, so I have to look at an upside somewhere because
But
there is none.
well, it is a direct result of people not getting involved in the primary process and not getting involved in their local
Right.
Republican Party or even hell, local Democrat Party. I don't care. We've
right,
got two sick parties, really sick, and we can't
right.
operate like that. So I
Oh,
want to
that's
go to
why I have no
rants.
problem going and voicing my opinion.
Yeah.
I've been to the Illinois Capitol several times, and I'm not
Well,
afraid to speak up.
Well, and you've also got
Mm.
never have we had a time where we've got the director of national intelligence dropping truth bombs left and right, and we've got a president in there that knows what he's doing and he has got a strategic plan. Our job is to make sure that they're all of 400,000 Republican seats, precinct seats are filled. Like if
Right.
we can do that, then we can do our job, and
Mhm.
President Trump can do his job.
Yep. And with that, I think we should move to a dude who I've really come to like. Rance from Alaska, my man. How are you?
Yeah, hey, thanks for letting me come up and speak. I normally don't like coming in your spaces and speaking because you guys have such great information that is just like spot on that, I really don't need to come in here and reparrot the same things that you guys are pushing. So I really love that you
We
guys are
don't care.
pushing the
We don't care.
civics. I mean, I do. I really appreciate the work you guys put in. And I only came up here because I heard them talking constitutional convention, but American Mission, you hit that spot on. I don't trust my representatives now to make choices for me. Why would I let them unleash the law books that allows them to go through and redo everything from free speech to gun rights to, because people don't get it's not just one thing that we attack when we open up the Constitutional Convention. It's the entire book, folks. We have to go through it line by line by line. And if you don't think that they're just itching for the chance to get in there and change our Constitution, you are so asleep at the wheel, right? And so I'm glad that you caught
Uh,
on that.
There's more of
Sorry
us
about
than there
that.
are of
I,
them right now.
I kind of disagree. In this, and not that won't happen, but if that's your reason for not doing a convention of states, forget it. We're even more screwed than we think.
100%. And I mean, it's sad to say, but this is why it's so important for us to get in action, right? And I've had some people that are inside the Democratic Party that have been whistleblowing, going to different meetings and trying to, because I'm trying to get more involved in campaign strategy for local Alaska First, America First people. I don't really care what side of the aisle you want to be on. If you're for the people in America First, I want to help you get elected. And what I've noticed is that the Democrats actually have like the next 10 years worth of candidates for local representation already picked out. They literally say like, hey, you're going to run in 2028, you're going to run in 2030, you're going to run in 2034, right? And these people just sit back and wait their turn. It's the craziest thing. So I'm sure if it's happening in Alaska, it's happening everywhere else. And the
Yeah.
Republican Party really needs to get on board with this strategy of like, let's put American first candidates in that aren't going to be in there for 10, 15, 20, 30 years, right? We could literally just have them in for 2, 3 years, replace them with the next guy, 2, 3 years, replace them with the next guy, and we could continue to move forward and actually make some ground movement on that. That's just my
Yeah.
opinion.
That's
And
how it
I'll
should
Well,
land
be.
my plane.
Hey,
see,
Rance, it's been a long time since we talked. Hi. You have ranked choice voting. Is there anything on the table to get rid of it? Because that's difficult for us to win.
they
Well,
just did, didn't they?
No,
no, we lost. It
they
was the
lost.
mail-in ballots, and that's why I'm really glad that Trump and Nick Begich, Congressman Nick Begich, are pushing for end of mail-in ballots, because that's what it was. The mail-in ballots took 21 days to come in and get counted. We were winning in the ranked choice voting ballot petition up to day 19, 20, and 21. All of a sudden, it flipped, and we lost by 7 points. It was the craziest thing.
Dude.
So technically,
Dude.
yeah, so technically, I think we won.
The dump.
That was a petition that was ran by Phil Izon, 907 Honest, and I helped him. We got the
Yeah,
petition in there. We got it in the
I
ballot. That was
remember.
a
I remember being in a space with you guys.
So that was a citizen ran petition. And this year, when we went to go rerun our petition, we had two other GOP people push petitions in with us against us. And so we pulled our petition out. And then the rumor is that they didn't get enough signatures. So now it's not going to be on the ballot, which is going to force me to now put my petition back in and go show that a citizen initiative ballot measure that's done properly can actually get passed. We actually created a thing called petitionengine.com. You can go check it out, and it's how we help local people get their petitions passed and weed out the bad actors that may want to sabotage you. You wouldn't believe how many petitions around the United States actually get sabotaged by
Oh wow.
insiders from the party. Roughly about 70 to 80% of them. And so we have created Engine Petition to help sort of streamline the process and let any citizen try to get a petition, actually have the resources and the tools to get a petition passed in your state without the need of a Democratic Party or a nonprofit American for Prosperity or any of the groups, like true grassroots movements. We also started Campaign Manager off of Tropic Tundra. You can go check that out, tropictundra.com. And we're allowing candidates now not to be coerced or manipulated by campaign managers. Most campaign managers across the United States are career campaign managers, been doing it for 20, 30, 40 years, okay? These are the gatekeepers. These are the people that determine whether or not you're going to get elected or not, but you hired them to get you elected. They'll tell you everything you want, but then the people that really need to get elected really don't end up getting elected. And you can actually see this in the ballots and the voting boxes when you go back and you look at how many of these candidates worked for a certain person, right? It's really easy like that.
I mean, it's a racket. It's a racket, and they've got it going on. I mean, they've been doing this for so long. It's a wonder that Republicans have ever won a damn seat.
Rance, do you mind dropping those links in the bubble?
Well, and I think that I suspect that, that when the Democrats got the Democratic Party all filled up and they got everybody slotted for the next 10 years, they went over and started working on the Republican Party because, yay, the Republicans weren't showing up. They had all those empty seats.
Yeah.
So
I don't blame you. I don't blame you. And here's the thing, and I've talked about this in spaces before, and y'all have heard me say this. While we're focused on winning elections, they were focused on winning the next generation. So that's how the Democrats have been able to do that, and how we haven't, because every time we did, I think it was Melissa who mentioned this earlier, sort of. Um, we've been focused on, every time we win an election, the next thing we focus is on is, wait for it
Next
wait
election.
for it the next election. Yes. So that paradigm also has to change, where instead of focusing on the next election, we focus on the next generation, because that's how the Democrats and the activists and the Marxists got to where they are today.
well, and
That
again,
they did that, we didn't.
Well,
I'm
are
just
they
saying,
worried about the
laying
next election or the next fundraising? Because it seems like they're
well,
always worried about making money. If we cap that,
no, we're worried about the conservatives were worried about making money because the Democrats never had to worry about that because
well,
they
yeah,
had all the money they wanted.
they were screwing the union workers, the
They were screwing the
workers.
taxpayers. They were screwing
Well,
everybody. They
yeah.
were taking our money and using it to build up their apparatus. USAID money,
Oh, yeah.
like billions and billions and billions of dollars,
Came right
not to
back.
mention Act Blue, not to mention all of them. I mean, all of them, all these NGOs were funneling money into the Democratic Party, and they had carte blanche. They had the power, they had the funding, and they had all the people they wanted because they lied. For generations now, the Democratic Party has been lying to the American people and like just pulling the wool over their eyes because nothing has gotten better because of Democrats. Okay.
Well, that's what I said. If we cap what they can draw in fundraising, and they can only spend X amount of dollars on their campaign, then I think that's a good good source of getting them to quit calling you every fucking day.
Well, I think
That
Excuse
that
would
my
be
I think
language.
that the
something.
taxpayers should pay for elections. I think that the taxpayers should pay, like, give money to the campaigns. Everybody gets a set amount depending on what your race is, and then you've got to get creative. Like, show us something, right? We've never asked them. They tell us what they're going to do, and then they don't do it. We never demand anything from them. We play this whole, oh, we've got the power, we've got the power. During elections, they sit there and they wine and dine, and they make us feel all warm and fuzzy inside. And then they
Now,
get
Mary,
elected, and then they just basically they ghost you. Like, they
And
don't
he,
call you back.
and here's the thing. Here's what you're talking about, Kim. Is you're what we've done for years is we've based our ability to get stuff done on how much access can we get to our politicians, as opposed to what do we have to leverage them with. And I have to hat tip Steve Dace for this. Politics is a game of leverage, not access. It's not about what you can do, how much access or how much connections you have to ex politician to be able to get stuff done. It's great to have those, obviously. Better to have them than not. But if you want to get stuff done, it's about your ability. Whether you're a coalition, whether you're a nonprofit, or the grassroots, whatever you are, whichever camp you're in, it's about your ability to leverage things in order to make moves happen. That's one thing politics is. It's not the only thing it is, but that's how you get stuff done.
well,
Well, I think that we've
I'm
got to
on.
change. We've
I'm
got to
on.
change the way. Oh,
Yeah.
Melissa, you got a hot mic.
Melissa, mute your mic.
That we've got to change the whole apparatus, right? And I think that, again, never have we had a time where more people have kn- know the truth, right? And we have receipts, and we've got President Trump, putting out these executive orders. We've got Congress sometimes codifying things, right? But that's another thing. We've got to make sure that we are on top of them at all times. They have been able to get away with literal murder, okay? And we cannot operate like this anymore. And by the level of exposure that's going on right now, we have got to capitalize on this, because who knows whether or not we're ever going to have this much access ever again.
Hey, American Mission, have you ever went through the FACL training, the Foundation Leadership American Conservative training?
No.
Oh wow, I'm gonna put that in the pill too. Oh, Matt, you don't like FACL?
I was giving you a thumbs down. No, I've never been
Oh,
through it.
okay. I was like, oh man, this is I just went to my first FACL meeting probably like 6 months ago, and I don't want to really talk about what's in it because it's kind of like they ask you just to keep it sort of private, so you can sort of learn how to build out your own community teams and your community action. I would recommend that you guys go check them out and take a class, and it's kind of weird because almost every politician I know has taken this class, and after they take this class, they don't talk about it. They don't want you to talk about it. They sort of encourage you not to go to these classes because it kind of woke my mind up to like the whole new way I'm trying to campaign and strategize and teach people to do policies. And I'm just gonna put it in the pill. It's a Foundation for
Yeah,
American
definitely.
Leadership of Conservatives, and so I just encourage you guys to go check that out in your own time and see if you guys can get a class or see if they can do a
Kelly's
presentation with
already
you.
signing up, I can tell.
Isn't that
I
a
know, I'm looking,
lobbyist
I keep refreshing, I'm
positions?
looking for it.
No, 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 no lobbying. This is all about how we should be strategizing for community involvement. Like Matt was just saying, it's not about the connections you have with your politicians. It's about the strategies we use to actually leverage our position as we the people to make those policy changes.
I love it. Well,
Awesome.
yeah.
Hey, Rance, is Murkowski going to run for governor?
Oh, hell no. Man, our governor, like, it's going to go to a Democrat. I'm calling it now. All right. Alaska's going to be fully blue this next ranked choice voting cycle. One, it's just that's the way that ranked choice voting is designed, right? It was designed to take out whatever part. That's why they don't introduce it into California. We've made videos about it, how Democratic governors won't allow ranked choice voting in their blue states because it will turn them red, right? That's what the whole process of ranked choice voting is, right? It will give the third party
Wait,
candidates the actual, and so, uh,
wait, how would that happen?
so it's
How would ranked choice voting in California actually turn it red? I thought maybe it would keep it blue, and that's why they don't want
no,
it.
no, no, not at all, right? So that's why they implement ranked choice voting into like red states, um, majority, and it turns them red. Watch Maine. Maine's going to go through the same process where you're going to start seeing more Republicans get voted in Maine because they made ranked choice voting, and Maine's a blue state. So what happened in Alaska is that it's like the third party. So Republicans are the majority of the party in that arena. You get 4 or 5, like we have right now, 9 different people running for governor. They're estimating there's going to be 30 people in this ranked choice voting. Okay, so that means that you're only going to have to get like 2, 3, 5% of the vote to make it out of the general into the primary, or out of the primary into the general. Correct, right? So the same thing happens in
Yeah.
Democrat states, right, where Democrats are all running 2 or 3 people a state. If you put ranked choice voting in it, right, the 3 Democrats are going to lose. The one Republican that's got the balls to go up in that blue city is going to win, right? That's why.
Not in New York City with Mom Donnie.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh, that's insane.
I think that if New York City votes in a communist mayor, America's done. Real talk. Everything trends down from
I agree.
history. Honestly, 10 years after New York does something, the rest of the world feels it, right? I kind of believe that if we go communist in New York City, it's only about 10 years before America falls after that, or not sooner. I don't want to believe that they're going to put in a communist socialist mayor there, but I can pray and leave that into God's hands. You know what I mean? That's about.
I think that again we have a very unique situation here, because I think that a lot of the people that have built the infrastructure and are running the Democrat show are going to be in jail before the 2026 election. So we got to factor that in
You
too.
better hope
We can
so.
only
You better hope
pray.
so.
No, I think
Right.
you see how like aggressive he came out with talking about the mail-in voting and the machines. Like that's the next thing that's going to be tackled. And there's so much evidence of the 2020 election. There's evidence in the 2016 election. 2022. I mean, we have so much evidence for those elections that it's going to be, I mean, buckle up. I think they had to deal with the Russia hoax first. She had to start there, right, to tell a story. Now she's going to take uh the American people on this journey. You've got Harmeet, who is like, she's I believe turned over uh what, like 20 states where there's problems that she saw in the elections. So we've got, again, all that stuff that wasn't heard on standing, all that documentation, all of that stuff is going to be coming out, and there's not a damn thing they can do about it.
Yeah, Harmony is
She's
one of
over
the
the
few
civil
people
Um,
I
rights
would
division.
Brant,
consider.
is Rant still on the space?
He
Yes,
is.
ma'am.
Okay. I'm confused. Susan Collin wins in Maine, and they do their state elections at ranked choice voting. I'm not a big fan of Susan Collins, but she's the devil we can work with. But that's ranked choice voting. Murkowski is Republican under ranked choice voting. I don't see how Democrats are winning because we're ending up with milk toast
So
Republicans. They're more
this is how
Democrat.
they're doing it now. Southern is that the Democratic Party are actually registering as Republicans to get in and vote on different primaries, right? That's why we need closed primaries or semi-closed primaries. This is why ranked choice voting is rigged, because as soon as you open it up, it doesn't matter what party you're with or what party you want to register. So the Democrats already know how to play the game. They invented it, right? Lie, 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 cheat,
Yeah.
right? So they're
Yep. Yep.
so they lie about who they are. They register as a Republican. They vote in, the primaries to get the Republicans that they want in, so that during, that case when it goes up, there's 3 Republicans on the ballot for the primary, or the general, I'm sorry. And when that comes down to it, they all, as Republicans, can now vote anyway. They vote for the Democrat because they're a Democrat elected, people. And so that's why we need to close primaries, because then if these so-called Republicans that are really Democrats, and this has been proven in a bunch of states that they literally have seen these registered voters switch from Democrat to Republican to play the system. So it's not even fair to anybody that wants to say we have a party or a missed party. It's because it's just a rigged way of voting. We really need to get to closed primaries, even though I don't like the two-party system. I kind of think it's a uniparty system, and that's like a whole nother philosophy and, rabbit trail, right? But let's just be real about it. If we want to keep with the two parties, okay, we need to make the parties accountable to who's representing them and allow a third party to be written in, right? And that's what we've always done. So that's why I'm kind of for semi-closed primaries, which allows independents and undeclared voters to not be discriminated against, because they can still ask for a ballot, get whatever ballot, Democrat or Republican, and then vote in. What I don't like are open primaries at all, because at any open primary, now we invited the chance for people to lie about who they are and to vote for who they want, so that way they can rig the general elections. And that's the problem with mail-in ballots and ranked choice voting.
And in closed primaries, at least Democrats can't cross over and pick their preferred candidate. And by the way, that's also not to mention the other problem. You'd hear Republicans say this all the time. Maybe you still do. Say, oh, we're a 40-40-20 country. No, there's actually more fact check. There's actually more registered independents now than there were whenever that was true. So you got to factor that into the equation as well.
Well, in Southern, in that 2018-2020 David Brock memo, when he talks about American Bridge, the research arm of it, go back and read that, because it lays out what they did in these races that they had identified. They ran candidates in the primaries, the Republican candidates in the primaries, totally tanked the Republican. And then the candidate that won, their candidate, would go up against the Democrat, and the Democrat would win because the candidate that ran was terrible. So it was like
Texas is that. Tom talks about that all the time. The Republican that are hardcore Republicans in Texas, what they do is they spend money to hurt a Republican candidate, so that's the way to get them out of the race. It's not fair. They're using and their fundraising and everything they're doing. They spend money to torture the Republican candidates because they're going to be more Trumpy. So they don't want to lose their little power in Texas. But what they're doing is handing it over to the Democrats. And they are the uniparty, as Rand said. They are the uniparty. So Democrats have an alliance based on mutually assured destruction in the uniparty. And that's really bad.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong, because and what's going on with Texas is encapsulated perfectly. I mean, do you really think it matters? Like, if Ken Paxton went, just to give one example, if Ken Paxton were to win against John in win that primary for the Senate race there, like, I guarantee you, the Republican Party is, if they can, if they have anything on him, they're going to try to do the same thing to him that the North Carolina GOP did to Mark Robinson in that race, and sabotage him. And I have to hat tip Margo for that. Or they'll find a way to get somebody else to run against Ken Paxton, who's got better name ID and or better funding to push it to ensure he doesn't win that primary, and then John Cornyn will be back in the U.S. Senate. But that's how the game is played. I hate it.
I do
In
too.
Illinois, they decided to run some of our local races in the primaries, to where, like, the important local stuff goes into our primary elections, and then that way we have more Republican cities in Illinois, but Chicago runs everything. So that's like the guarantee for the Democrats, because they run or however that.
It only
It's
takes two counties to
opposite.
take over a state. So we've learned that. I mean, we see it they're trying to do it in Oklahoma. They're trying to do it in Texas. They did it
Well,
in
with
New
all the
Mexico.
mail-in,
Yeah.
with all the mail-in voting in Illinois, I'm sure that there was a whole lot of rigging, because I could almost guarantee Trump won Illinois. You should have seen all the Trump signs in Chicago.
I think.
Go look up Illinois' district map and how they've gerrymandered that for years. That tells you all.
Oh
you need
yeah,
to
we
know.
got a snake goes down the middle.
Yeah, before we get into that, I don't want to go down the gerrymander path. I do want to go to number 2 of the Twitter files. Okay, so we've got 2 of, I think there's 15 or something like that. Part 2 was by Barry Weiss, the Twitter's secret blacklist. Barry Weiss gives a long-awaited answer to the question, was Twitter shadow banning people? It did, only the company calls it visibility filtering. Twitter also had a separate higher council called the PES that decided case for high visibility controversial accounts. Key revelations. Twitter had a huge toolbox for controlling the visibility of any user, including a, quote, search blacklist for Dan Bongino, a, quote, trends blacklist for Stanford's Dr. Jay Bhattacharya, and a, quote, do not amplify setting for conservative activists like Charlie Kirk. Weiss quotes a Twitter employee, think about visibility filtering as being a way for us to suppress what people see to different levels. It's a very powerful tool. Oh, ugh. These people make me sick. All right, so number 3 was the removal of Donald Trump in October of 2020 to January 6th of 2021. First, in a 3-part series looking at how Twitter came to the decision to suspend Donald Trump, the idea behind the series is to show how all of Twitter's, quote, visibility filtering tools were on display and deployed after January 6, 2021. The key revelations were that Trust and Safety Chief Yoel Roth not only met regularly with the FBI and the Department of Homeland Security, but with the Office of the Director of National Intelligence. Also, Twitter was aggressively applying visibility filtering tools to Trump well before the election. Part 4 was by Michael Schellenberger, the removal of Donald Trump from on January 7th of 2021. This thread by Michael Schellenberger looks at the key day after the January 6th riots and before Trump would ultimately be banned from Twitter on January 8th, showing how Twitter internally reconfigured its rules to make a Trump ban fit their policies. Key revelations. At least one Twitter employee worried about a, quote, slippery slope in which an, quote, online platform CEO with a global presence can gatekeep speech for the entire world, only to be shot down. Also, Chief Censor Roth argues for a ban on Congressman Matt Gaetz, even though it, quote, doesn't quite fit anywhere, duh. And Twitter changed its public interest policy to clear a path for Trump's removal. It's just crazy. All right, number 5.
How'd that work?
All right. The removal of Donald Trump on January 8th of 2021. As angry as many inside Twitter were with Donald Trump after the January 6th Capitol riots, staffers struggled to suspend his account, saying things like, quote, I think we've had a hard time saying this is incitement. As documented by Weiss, they found a way to pull the trigger anyway. The key revelations here were there were dissenters in the company, maybe because I am from China, said one employee, or, quote, I deeply understand how censorship can destroy the public conversation, end quote, but are overruled by senior executives like Vijaya, Gotti, and Roth, who noted many on Twitter's staff were citing the banality of evil and comparing those who favored sticking to a strict legalistic interpretation of Twitter's rules. For example, keep Trump, who had no violation, to Nazis following orders. Wow. So they compared the people that were like he did not violate anything to Nazis following orders. All right. Part 6 was
Honestly, that's a bad comparison considering Operation Paperclip.
exactly. So Twitter and the FBI subsidiary. This one dropped on December 16th of 2022. Now remember, the first one dropped on December 2nd, right? So we're 14 days in, 2 weeks. Twitter's contact with the FBI was, quote, constant and pervasive, as FBI personnel, mainly in the San Francisco field office, regularly sent lists of reports to Twitter, often about Americans with low follower counts making joke tweets. Tweeters on both the left and the right were affected. Key revelations. A senior Twitter executive reports, quote, FBI was adamant, no impediments to sharing. Classified information exists. Twitter also agreed to, quote, bounce content on the recommendations of a wide array of governmental and quasi-governmental actors, from the FBI to the Homeland Security Agency, CISA to Stanford's Election Integrity Project, to state governments. The company one day received so many moderation requests from the FBI, an executive congratulated staffers at the end for completing the monumental undertaking. The FBI and Hunter Biden's laptop. So on December 19th of 22, this was part 7. The Twitter files story increases its focus on the company's relationship to federal law enforcement and intelligence, and shows intense communication between the FBI and Twitter just before the release of the Post's Hunter Biden story. Key revelations. San Francisco agent Elvis Chan, quote, sends 10 documents to Twitter's then head of site integrity, Yoel Roth, through Teleporter, a one-way communications channel from the FBI to Twitter, the evening before the release of the Post story. Also, Baker, in an email, explains Twitter was compensated for processing requests by the FBI, saying, I am happy to report we have collected $3.415 million since October of 2019. They got a little racket going on there. And then there's a picture.
Wait, can you clarify, Kim? So they got paid to for that
They got
censorship.
paid by taxpayer dollars from the FBI for processing requests.
Censor the Hunter, so specifically the Hunter Biden laptop story in this case.
Since October of 2019.
So in other words, you paid taxpayer dollars for them to censor, to be used against you, to censor you. In other words,
Duh. I mean,
Right.
But was
isn't that the
Baker
way
still
it
part of
works?
which
the
is
FBI?
illegal.
Here's a question I have for you guys, because I'm not sure if any of you know the answer to this. Maybe you don't. That's all right. But did what of the 51 into the famous 51, did any of them get any of this money to say what they said, that, oh, the Hunter Biden laptop story is Russian disinformation? Like was there any monies exchanging hands there where that's concerned?
Maybe with Joe or Hunter.
But like remember, if those 51 don't put out that letter that say the Hunter Biden laptop story is misinformation, that that doesn't give it any legitimacy and to justify the censorship. So I wonder if they got paid.
Oh, the cookie jar was open. They wrote checks from, I mean, they basically had
Right.
unlimited access to the Treasury.
So they got caught with their hands in the cookie jar.
Now, once we finally think about that, we did not know how much money was being stolen from us until Elon got in there and started, really digging in. We had no idea. Not
Well, I
even
have a
Trump
feeling
knew.
Trump knew, because that was the first thing he did was cut off U.S. aid.
Well, he knew.
Right.
He knew where the problem was, but he had no idea the level of freaking funding that they were stealing from us.
Yeah, but here is
Kim, do we wanna-
something that is astonishing, is that when they were in Treasury with Basent, they found out that whatever came in, they told Treasury, send this money out. You know how when you send something to somebody, you fill out what it is, where you're sending it, and what it's for, right? They don't even bother doing that. There's 4 trillion went out, and we have no idea, one, where it went, who to, and why. That's how bad it is.
Southern, they had, and then we'll go to Bat Boy. They had 14 money making computers, and we don't know where the heck that money went.
Is that the?
Go ahead, Bat Boy. Welcome to the stage, sir.
Hey guys, how you doing? Thanks for the mic. Now that I'm hearing this, I have a question, and it's legal. So if anybody would be able to, I think I know what it would be, but I'm curious from a legal point of view. If the FBI used taxpayer money to give to a private entity like Twitter at the time to suppress Americans' First Amendment rights, wouldn't that be considered an actionable um, lawsuit against
Treason,
against suppression?
I would think, but I think it's treason.
Well, I wouldn't say it's treason because unless it was aiding and abetting a foreign entity in that way. But I'm wondering if that isn't an actual First Amendment a violation across a whole swath of users that the FBI claimed um, was, by using taxpayer money, by that the FBI claimed were in violation of some what would be the civil or criminal code to suppress someone's free speech on Twitter and paying Twitter to suspend or ban accounts because of that. So I'm curious if there's a legal precedent to go after X in that way, and
Jack
frankly the
Dorsey.
FBI
Hold
too,
on.
and Jack Dorsey.
There's got to be
Yeah.
punishments for violating the supreme law of the land, you know?
It's called conspiracy.
Grand conspiracy. And yeah, so
Is
it is like that's our like, does the FBI bring in revenue?
The people on the end at Twitter and Facebook and
Google.
by Google and by extension Instagram and YouTube
Facebook.
and the rest of them, these are people who supposedly have Ivy League educations or went to Caltech or went to, some school where they got student loans for, $11 million and, their parents went broke or whatever. And, these are supposed to be people who have IQs, probably double room temperature. Okay. Uh, most of those people understand what the First Amendment is. Most of those people are not ignorant. Most of those people understand where it says Congress shall pass no law. Okay. That's an affirmative statement. It's a statement that says, stay the fuck away from this area. That's not rocket science. The founders of this country were not dumb people. Okay. And they looked upon the population at that time and they said, we need to convey what we're doing here in a way that the citizenry can understand so that they will not misinterpret what we're doing here. And the word shall, and when it was placed in front of not, had a specific meaning at the time that it was written. So 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 these people at these enterprises who were receiving these requests from the government knew that this was bullshit on its face. You're not allowed to tell me that I'm not allowed to speak because you're the government and you can go fuck yourself. Now, if you can explain to me that what little Johnny who's tweeting here is going to cause how he's going to cause a nuclear war with Russia, okay? Then maybe I can see your point, okay? If he's giving out nuclear secrets or if he's going to pass along some sort of formula that's going to allow China to poison our food supply, or something that is going to be a matter of national security, or is going to end the fucking world, then we will sanction this person.
They were doing that.
But we will not wholesale, because you as a government disagree with what people say, shut something down.
Yeah, but here's
Don't
yeah, but
forget,
here's the thing.
this started with COVID.
Yeah, but here's the thing though. If it was Twitter on its own, of its own accord, as a private entity that may have been publicly traded, whether it was or wasn't, but on its own had done it, had banned people or suppressed people or said, or punished them for speech that the company didn't like, I would understand that as being within their right to do. But the fact that the FBI set up a funding stream with taxpayer dollars to give names and tweets to Twitter, for them to do that under those auspices, to me smacks of not only illegality, but a constitutional violation of my rights and everybody else's rights who uses this platform, who was suspended, suppressed, and had their speech censored and suppressed, not once, but maybe many times over. And I think at this stage, I'm not a lawyer. I don't pretend to be one. Sometimes I might play one on television, but I'm just saying, maybe there is actionable, an actionable case here. That's all I'm asking.
Well, and so that's what Chris is getting to. Like
the money makes it worse. The money makes it worse. But as an independent entity, they can say who's allowed to come here and who's not. It's just like having a country club. Okay, if you want to screen your members and you don't want certain people there because they don't meet whatever criteria it is, fine. All right.
But that's not what happened.
It's up to you to you're not going to get any tax breaks if you're going to do that. You're not going to maybe get put on the top of the list at the police department and the fire department. Okay.
You're not going to have any users left because everybody's going to fucking walk away because you're doing that to them.
You're subject to the marketplace. All right. So this is why you had platform. What was the first platform to pop up that Bongino was involved in? I don't even
MySpace.
You're not talking about Parler, are you?
Yeah, Parler. Yeah. Parler popped up, and the people at Apple and the people at Google engaged in shutting down the apps on their platforms because they didn't want people to have a place to go.
So did Amazon.
To be able to
they're still doing it.
Is that the one they turned into Rumble?
And that's the thing, is that this censorship industrial complex is still ongoing, even
operating as we speak, and we haven't even gotten into the worst of it yet.
Rumble.
Oh yeah. Well, I'll say this, and then I gotta bounce. And this is why I love hanging out with you guys, and this is why this is important, because this stuff matters, because if they did this and got away with it, and this is why we need to see punishments, we need to see arrests,
we need to see removal from the fucking apparatus. They got to be removed.
Well, hey, breaking news.
And by the way, Kim, you were right. Philby is pretty spicy.
Oh yeah.
What you got, Melissa? What you got, Melissa?
Breaking news: Tulsi Gabbard revokes 37 security clearances over Obama cross.
Oh yeah.
Ordered in the Russiagate.
We're gonna get to
that led to Russiagate.
We're gonna get to that.
Holy crap!
It's happening, guys.
But
Hey,
what I was saying is real quick, guys, and then I promise I'm getting out of here. But because I know some of y'all are tired of hearing my nasally drone tonight. But anyway, if there needs to be punishments, that like Kim just said, there needs to be removals, or this stuff's going to continue. And they're going because they figure out they're going to get away with it, and they're just going to keep doing it over and over and
Put
over
it this
and
way,
over again until they're
they're a
stopped.
tapeworm. Like they are a tapeworm that has been in the bowels of America for decades, eating all
Correct.
of our souls.
Correct.
So
Thanks for the time,
Thanks,
Kim.
Matt.
Y'all
Thanks
have a
for
good night and
co-hosting. Mr. Philby, I'm gonna
love ya.
put you up there.
yeah, so then Rumble says we are going to create a platform where you cannot shut us down, where you cannot reach us, where you don't have the ability to do anything to us. The only thing that can close us is the electric grid. And oh, by the way, it's in Russia. So you go talk to Putin.
remember they lost their advertisers?
Yeah, remember that?
Yeah,
Remember
yeah.
when all the advertisers. Now I watched a hearing on this too. All of the advertisers, right? They all got together, and it was called something like GACU or something like that, and they conspired against Elon when he bought Twitter. And that, again, there's so many laws that have been broken, guys, and we haven't. This is our first chance to actually, like, hey guys,
You
this
you
happened.
you got the video of that famous deal that Elon went to that meeting where he called out Bob Iger, who's the chairman of Disney.
Go fuck yourself.
Yeah,
And also Apple.
yeah, Tim Cook and Bob Iger, and he told the advertisers, "I don't want your money. Keep your money."
Didn't they drag
And
him to court for that shit too?
No,
by the way,
who cares?
go
Fuck them.
yourself. And Bob, if in case you didn't hear that, go fuck yourself.
And again,
It
this goes
was
back to
powerful. This is the first time, guys, we have seen somebody stand up and go against the biggest companies out there
that's
and
right.
all those idiots behind it. And we had someone who could stand there. And he took a $51 billion hit. Now he gets a lot of money, and next month he doubles it and all that mess. You can't buy him.
No.
You cannot buy him like Trump.
And he
But
also, let's not forget, the reason that he bought Twitter was because he saw the extinction of humanity. What he saw scared him enough that he was like, oh no, like I've got to go and buy this communications thing. And he didn't even know.
overpay for
He didn't
it.
even know what he was getting into. What did he say? I walked into like a bloodbath or a murder scene. Like what
Um,
Yeah, I think
well,
it was a murder scene.
yeah, he walked in with the kitchen sink, if you remember.
well,
Let
yeah,
that sink in. But he walked into a mess. He eliminated 75%. He brought his tech team in. You know what the first thing that Elon did at Twitter? He wanted to find the algorithm for child trafficking. They found
yeah,
it.
that space.
And what terrified him, it was done internally where they were able to finally source code, cords, everything, get to it, wiring and all that. They found it. It was built
Oh
internally
yeah.
or installed internally, but that's what Merrick Garland took credit for about 6 months after that.
Well, and you,
And after that,
let's
Elon got rid
hang
of
on,
that other half
Melissa.
of the.
Melissa, please mute your mic. Thank you. Okay, because like I'm the host here, I would not talk. Okay, thank you. Um, now I don't remember what I was going to say. Guys, don't do that. When the host is talking or the co-hosts are talking, please do not do that. I know you're excited to talk about it, and I'm so excited that you are because it's, it's important to like have a conversation And a really good Twitter space is when people want to chime in. So I totally want you to, but you got to like not chime in every time. You got to let us chime in. Okay. All right. Now, I want to get to the next thing. Again, we've just learned that the government was sending so much data, okay, so many requests to Twitter through that they opened up a portal, okay, so that they could send communications to them. They claim that they couldn't send communications back. However, I don't know about that, but that they just admit there, like this is Twitter file number 7. There is a portal that the government has access to, and so do all of the like all the social media companies, because Twitter's got a portal, Facebook's got a portal, Google's got a portal, Apple's got a portal, Amazon's got a portal, and they were feeding them lists of names, your everyday Americans who are going, wait a minute, what is this? We were dealing with a pandemic and we were trying to communicate with each other and share things so that we could save lives, and they fucking censored us and used our money to do it. That's bullshit. And we can't forget that. There's no glossing over it. There's none of that. Everybody needs to wake the fuck up, get on board, and we go. I'm done with it. God, it pisses me off. Sorry.
Well, and Kim, and I don't see this much from Kim, but we're all starting to get to that point where enough is enough, because they called us conspiracy theorists. They called us, we weren't educated, deplorables, all of this mess.
You're not allowed to talk about it. I got contacted by my HR department. I got contacted by my HR department because in December of 23, okay, this is after a year of learning about this stuff. So it's a year after the Twitter files. I sent out an email to the people that I was close with, right? And that had been working with me for 12 years. And somebody on that list sent it to HR and told them that it made them uncomfortable. What was included in that email was, hey, I was on this Twitter space the other night and it had some of the most important people on it. It was Elon and it was Andrew Tate and I said, I put in parentheses, like him or hate him, but what they were talking about was the violation of our free speech. And I put this thing together and I said, and also we have an unprecedented amount of undocumented or illegal aliens that are crossing our borders. Okay. Over the holidays, there's lots of Fox Sports events going on. There's all kinds of stuff going on. Be safe. Like, that's it. And I
Trafficking
didn't
women
go
and
into all that
children.
because I
You
kept it
know,
very, I just said, look, there's a lot of stuff going on. And I was feeling like I wanted my company to weigh in. Tell me something. Like, what are you doing about the open border? You make all this money off the American people and you provide us with a service, whatever it may be. Okay. What are you doing to protect that's your asset. That's your bread and butter. When did we get this mentality of let's kill everybody? It's just stupid. So, I mean, again, we have to remember these things, and we absolutely had our rights violated. Every single one of us, even if you were not censored on the internet, you were someone who didn't get to hear how to cure COVID. How all you needed to do was go get in the sun or take ivermectin. How, you didn't have to go get a poison shot to save grandma. All you needed to do was take some vitamin C.
And look at it this way, Kim, and the people who, as the word of censor stuff, but everybody was paying not to know that.
Right.
With their tax dollars, they were
Right.
paying not to know
Right.
it.
Some of the, like, Dr. McCullough was the most published, virologist or whatever the hell he is. He was the most published, and they just destroyed him. Dr. Robert Malone has the patent on the mRNA technology. He designed it. And he said, not for humans. Don't do this. And what did they do? they blackballed him so bad he couldn't fart at the Kentucky Fried Chicken.
You're right, Kim. And they also accused him of taking credit for it because it was actually being done with two researchers at the University of Pennsylvania. They actually were part of it. Do you know that, you know how Biden got up there about being the best salesman for taking the shot and all that? I just found at University of Pennsylvania, which is a little too close to home, they got paid 75 cents on every single injection.
It's just
Yeah,
robbery. And again, that was
pay for play.
our money. They used our money to seed the development of it. They used our money to, and where's our profit sharing? I mean, you're trying to kill us. We get that. But hell, didn't we just invest that?
You know, Kim, you mentioned earlier the basically they didn't call it something as far as suppressing you. They called it something else. They reworded it, but essentially
Visibility,
suppress you.
it was
Visibility, yeah. You know, the thing was on Facebook, like during that time, like I remember, like, okay, I'd post and I'd have people come back at me and try to push back and try to like throw their, you know, propaganda talking points, and that was fine. But it's when I saw that stop and I was just like in this cave where I was like, hello, can anybody
visibility
hear me?
filtering.
Is anybody
Exactly.
out
So we're going to
there?
get to
And
that.
it's like,
We're going to get to
whoa,
that too, because that's
you know,
number 8.
like, that's when I went to get her. I was like, you know, like, and on Facebook, it was like not followers, it was friends and family. I had like
Oh, trust me.
2,000 plus people it's people that I've met in person,
It's still happening.
you know, like business people, you know,
Yeah,
all the
Adam,
above
it's still happening.
from
It's
high
still
school
happening.
and
And
jobs.
like with Facebook, it is like, again, like you said, it was all family and friends.
My mom's on there and she's still
Yeah,
getting
me
shadow
too.
banned.
Me too.
Like she's still on there getting shadow banned right now. I'm like, why are you even on there?
Yeah.
I know you can
Yeah.
talk to your mother, your sister,
Yeah.
stuff, but you know.
I just want to talk a little bit about the medical profession. Doctors, researchers, key opinion leaders, infectious disease experts, virologists, all of them
Dr.
were
Drew.
being, yes, they were being destroyed. So how could they do
Destroyed
that?
because they had all
Dr.
the
Fauci
yeah.
canceled because he had control of 3 things: your publishing, your research money, and your job.
Yep.
There was a group, there was 2 doctors. One of them went to court and they did good. They did well at court. But anyway, 2 of the doctors,
That was a dictator right
yeah,
there.
tried. 2 of the people tried. 2 of the doctors tried. And there is an email from Dr. Fauci out to his goons saying we need to take them down, credit everything they're doing, rip their publishing, talk to the publisher, let them know we got a problem here. In other words, they were keeping them from doing their job at a time that we needed medical expertise. We were given what the government wanted us to know. And I think we need to understand that. And it wasn't just his position, it was the deep state, period. They were all involved and they were idiots. They really didn't know what they were doing. She knew exactly what he was doing. And by the way, that mRNA vaccine, they actually, it's a cold virus. It's a conical cold virus, and it stays alive outside a human or animal host on the surface. That was so exciting for researchers who love to be Frankenstein with that, because now they could get in and mix things in it because it lived longer. That work was done in my state in North Carolina, UNC Chapel Hill. It got moved to Wuhan because we finally said gain of function is dangerous. They were creating Frankenstein viruses that could kill people.
Still
One
are.
Yeah,
mistake in
Obama
a lab.
offshored it essentially. That's
Yeah,
what he
but
did.
it went.
He
Yeah,
tried to
took it to.
pretend like he was against it, but
If you
he
think for one
offshored it.
minute
So
that they don't still have those facilities here, I mean, look at the Chinese lab that they found in like near
Oh,
Bakersfield,
they
you
yeah,
know?
offshored
that
it to
was.
Ukraine and China. That's the
Yeah.
two
But
places that it
here,
went to.
I have one little thing left. Uh, this virus went to Wuhan, China. Okay, how do you think they got funded when we shut down gain of function funding in Congress? They funded Eco Alliance. Eco
Eco Health
Alliance sent the
Alliance. Yeah.
money. I'm sorry. Yeah, Eco. Okay, I can't remember. Thank you. And that money went to Wuhan. So our Congress signed off of our tax dollars to go through that. We had to have Congress members that knew that was happening.
Our Congress,
And
our 119th Congress, Southern, they gave $900 million to HHS, who in turn gave it to a whole bunch of UN NGOs, and they
yep.
freaking, they trafficked children, they freaking brought in illegal immigrants, they brought in gangs, they gave money to the cartels, they did all of that again with our money. That was the Republican-led 119th or 18th Congress. And those same shits are still in the 119th. And next, the 120th better look different, or we're not doing enough.
That's why it was important that they highlight, that cartel member living with a judge and his wife. That needs to be highlighted and remembered by many Americans, that they had a cartel member living in their house. That's how embedded these people are, from cartel Katie Hobbs to whoever else is involved with this cartel.
I think we need to get all of the hosts and co-hosts and the spaces together, and we need to come up with a plan, like a gauntlet that these candidates need to run through spaces, and they sign an agreement that when they get there, that they will have meetings, spaces with us once a quarter, and we will back them. We will scream their name. We will recommend them.
Once a week. Once a week.
Whatever it takes. Maybe it starts out as once a week, and as you graduate to a different level, you can go a little bit longer. But we need to get together and we need to do that. Because I think if we did that, everybody would a rising tide lifts all boats. Like, why are we not leveraging like the might of this platform and the relationships that we've built and the research that we've done and the incredible practice that we've had in speaking and being able to communicate information, being able to ask the right questions? We've got to get our shit together and like form a group.
Kim, I've been thinking about this because we get on spaces, we get educated, and we want to go do something, but there's no step 2. And I think that is something we have to start thinking about in how we can engage and move forward. I reached out, I was on a space. He's a Texas millionaire and he has done something on the ground. He sent me step by step on how they flip their counties, everything. And I'm working on it with some other pieces I'm putting together. We have to have a blueprint so people can see something tangible and then have small groups.
Precinctstrategy.com.
Yes, yeah, exactly. But he also built something where they could figure out how to do it better. But the thing that I keep looking at is communities on X. There is not a head count. We could have 1 million people in there. Right now, they're just open type of thing. What is difficult on X is, I'm sorry, Adam?
I don't know who that was, Southern. Please continue.
Okay. Anyway, we have communities. We have to work locally. And I have been trying to figure out X. It's very difficult to pull out people locally. You're just not, they don't map.
No, they make it very hard. Very hard.
Very hard. But I think we have to start getting people together by state and then break it down. And that to me is the only thing that makes sense. Start by state, then start breaking it down. I think people
I
need
like
to have
that you
tools.
say that, Southern, because that's why the DNC is the machine that it is. We need to become like that, more or less, like have like guidance for people, much better guidance.
Yeah, and then we have Scott Pressler.
God, I wish
call to
somebody would
action.
pay us so we could do this full time.
I know. I'd get my baseball bat and a couple things and be ready to go.
We just need 1 billionaire, please. So we don't. I mean, again, it's very complicated, right? Because everybody is so I don't know. It's like because we can't do this full time. We can't get the coordination going because we just don't have the money. They have had all of the money at their disposal, and like, hey, Chuck over at the IRS, this guy's giving me some shit today. So can you just really fuck up his life for the next 4 months? I don't know. Oh, you can do 6. Great, perfect, and hang up. Okay, that's what we've been dealing with here. I don't know about you guys, but how do you combat that?
You know, Vladimir Putin requested for Dr. Fauci, Southern, and I was thinking because
Really?
I love studying top level criminal operations, and when I think of criminal doctors, I think of Dr. Joseph Mengele,
Yeah.
one of the most
Germany.
terriblest
Yeah.
doctors on the planet.
Yeah.
And I think of Dr. Fauci, and I think of Bill Gates and their terrible operations. They brought AIDS out of Africa, and then of course the Wuhan labs and everything that they do together. And I consider them. Do you consider them as terrible as Dr. Joseph Mengele? Just be honest, please.
Yeah, and quite frankly,
Holy smokes!
I would like to have the real death count across the world of how many people died.
I've
That
heard 17 million, but I bet it's upwards of 20 something.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, but we're still dealing with a lot of vaccine injured, and we're starting to see turbo cancers. A lot of myocarditis tends to be more male, and we're talking healthy males. For you to play professional football
And
you're
drop dead in the middle.
and drop dead, and let's put that in perspective. They go through so much testing because they're buying a car. They want to make sure everything works. Or what are they going to have to deal with so they can train and rehab?
Optimum
Yeah,
performance, right?
exactly. And then for them to die of a heart attack and there was no prior, maybe some, oh, I'm tighter than usual. I had myocarditis from a bacterial infection. It is not a fun thing to go through. But for somebody to go from running at, out of football field just to fall over and gone, and we're seeing young people with cancer.
You know what I was thinking the other day, Southern, is how many SIDS cases where the kid had been vaccinated within the 2 week period. I wonder how many that is. Because I had a coworker whose second child passed away from SIDS, and he was like, 8, 9 months old, and they were at work, and the nanny found him. And I think about it all the time, and especially when we talk about vaccines and stuff like that. And we're finding out that he really didn't study it at all. And if you talked about it, it was like the mafia, man. They were coming after you, right? I mean, that was like my whole life. I had no idea about the Child Safety Act, with giving immunity to freaking pharmaceutical companies. I didn't find out about that until 2022. Or 2023, really. But so all of these things that we're learning that are just layers and layers of deceit and malfeasance and law breaking to the nth degree. And that, I mean, again, we've never been in a better time to capitalize on it. But it's like, what do we like? Let's not fuck around here, people. It's time to get busy. And
Kim, I think it's our last time.
it is. It's either
It
it's
is.
either
It
it is
is.
either do or die here.
Yeah. Not to go off topic, just to make a statement about the kids' vaccines. I wonder now, children who died, they said was SIDS. I wonder if it was a reaction to the vaccine.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I want to
Okay.
know.
I just want to make
I want
sure.
to
Yeah.
know
Okay.
how many of the SIDS cases where the shot was given 2 weeks to a month prior. I think we could go. I mean, let's look at how a week, okay? Even the day before. Let's look at that and see what those numbers are. Because
Yeah, I'm going to give you another truth. What does the CDC and all these different agencies do? They collect data so they can have predictive modeling.
oh yeah,
So, and then figure out what is the protocol that worked.
they were
And okay, guess what? That dinky woman they had in there, she was obviously hired to fit a box, no skill sets, and they let her loose on the camera. And she was very empathetic. So she kept getting in trouble because she would be on our side, not the government's rigid rules. Anyway, she said, no, we haven't gotten our funding yet, so we can't, compile data. And I'm sitting there going, that's what you do. You already have it.
yeah.
You just got to put a name in the column.
You're not getting your paycheck? Like what?
Yeah.
You guys
I couldn't believe it. I just sat there. I looked at my husband. I said, did she just say what I thought she said?
my neighbor worked for Tampa Water, and he I think he still works there. He was in IT, and he said to me on numerous occasions, like, do you need an external hard drive? Do you need some CDs? Do you need? He's like, we just have copious amounts, and like when they go to do contracts, they take the freaking highest bidder. Like they take the highest bid. They pay the most money with our dollars because it's our dollars. Think about it. It's a lot easier to spend other people's money than it is to spend your own. And they had carte blanche with it. And that is just one local municipal's water. Okay. Think about electric. Think about all of the schools. I mean, Tampa, again, Hillsborough County, has a $4 billion school budget. What? And the new county commissioner, he's been in, this is his second term. He has found hundreds of millions of dollars to NGOs in this area. Like, so what's going on with the federal government is happening on every level in every county. And Tampa it just turned red. It was a blue county, and surrounded by red counties. And I can tell you right now, Tampa is very conservative. So we have a problem, and that's goes back to that argument of the Convention of States. We don't have the local infrastructure to do a Convention of States right now because they have infiltrated it. They control on every level. So whatever Trump is doing to weed out in the federal government, we've got to do in our local governments. And that it is so easy to get involved. Even if you've got a hostile GOP, take a buddy, take a relative, make it a night. If like someone that you don't get to see a lot, take them with you. Go down there. It's once a month, and you get to
Kim,
learn
tell
stuff.
them how long. What's the time? What's your time commitment when you do
So
that?
it's once a month. It's maybe an hour and a half meeting once a month. That's and every state is different, but it's not much more than that if it's more. Okay. So that's what the county rec, which is the Republican Executive Committee, they meet once a month. And if you are a precinct committee person, then you are a voting member and you are required to go to one meeting a month, or you have to submit an excuse. And then we vote on whether or not we accept the excuses. 3 excuses or 3 non-excused absences, and you're no longer a precinct committee person. I had no one in my precinct. My mom, no one in her precinct. There are 200,000 empty Republican committeemen chairs open. And
why don't you share, Kim, what y'all go through? Just kind of an example of a meeting.
Well, the last meeting I went to was phenomenal because all three of our state, well, so we had two of our state reps there and one state senator. And they had finished up session because our session is like from March till mid-April. So this was the June meeting or July meeting. So they came and they presented to us all of the bills that they had worked on, the ones that passed. They presented the amount of money that they brought back, that they were allotted, and then some of the initiatives that they were working on. It was brilliant. It was great. I didn't know any of this stuff. I didn't, and again, this is the exposure that you get when you go and you join your local, Republican or Democrat, whatever you want. But going there, you get exposed to these things that nobody else gets exposed to. And it's where you live. So they're talking about, B Street, blah, blah, blah. You know exactly where that is. Whereas when in Washington, unless you live there, but it is your community. It's things that matter to you. It's the pothole on Fifth Avenue and 22nd Street, those types of things that you can actually go talk to the county commissioner and go, hey, we have no crosswalk out there and my kid's got to cross the street to walk on the sidewalk to get to school. Can I get a freaking crosswalk that lights up? Because I'm having to walk my kid and we're almost getting hit in the morning. You can do that, but you've got to get involved at that level in order to get exposed to those people that can help you get your problem solved. And when you do that, then you get good people in there and not the bunch of slimy Democrats that are posing as Republicans or slimy Republicans. I don't know if there's any of that going on because I think we're just too busy to freaking be that clever. And again, we don't have money.
Criminals should be charged. Just put them out of the county or the prison and put them on the road crew and fix those potholes immediately. Criminals need to be charged and they need to be punished for what they've done.
All right, I want to get to Beam, and then I want to go to number 8 of the Twitter files. Remember, we've only gotten through 7 here, and I want to go back to this because the next one is, and I'm going to give you the title as a teaser, How Twitter Quietly Aided the Pentagon's Covert Online PSYOP Campaign. Ooh, remember that? Go ahead, Beam.
Yeah, just to the idea about having like a quarterly meetup with people that you kind of supported, and then being like, hey, we're gonna support you, wholeheartedly, but if you let us down and don't deliver it all and so forth, whatever, like we would like pull that support away. Like I kind of thought when I first heard that, like, well, but then who is that group of like, I like the idea that it was like a collective, like getting together a bunch of space hosts, but I was like, well, who is that group? And then like you have to deal with like their kind of like power, authority, ultimate arbiter kind of a dilemma. But then so thinking about like how they used to select different people in the ancient Athens like Dionysian like theater festival thing, that there was like these like 20 people from each tribe that would like present, and then they would like do a lottery. So I don't know, it kind of occurred to me that like you could have a bunch of like spaces that were hosts and groups that were like kind of verified in the sense of like they qualified to be a part of that I don't know what you would call it, but whatever, like these group of space hosts, and then yeah, sure, coalition, and then like so maybe like do a lottery thing that's like it's going to be this 12 groups that would be interviewing you this time, so it would kind of be different, and you maybe have, I don't know, like hundreds or something of groups, but like if there could be draw in an honest way, like draw from a hat or something. I don't know. For me that seems cool and like random, and
well,
I don't know, I kind of like the idea, so I just wanted to add that.
I would love to put together like a share calendar where people can schedule their spaces and their candidates so that we're not overlapping, and people can go from one to the next, and you do it a allotted amount of time. It's not 7 hours, it's 15 to 30 minutes per candidate. And we had last time multiple candidates in spaces, right? And it's good to have a lot of candidates in there because they can talk about things and they can talk about how they would work together. They can give you options, things like that. But really this time we've got to ask more from our candidates. And this is something that I love about President Trump and what he's doing is he's, showing the American people how valuable they are, because for decades we have been told that we're pieces of shit, right? So we need to remember that it is self-governance, and if we don't get involved, then we're going to get these creatures running the show, and they are creatures. Like, they don't deserve to lick the ground we walk on. They're so rotten to the core. And I mean, and it's all the way up to the highest, the Rockefellers. I mean, the fact that we've allowed these creatures to live at the upper echelons of the world while they are harming children at an alarming rate is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
In ancient India, ancient China, they were always like the third class down from like religious and I guess what were they, like the generals and stuff. Like they're always higher classes. Like the business people were always like third class down.
Yeah, well, the politicians need to be at the lowest freaking level, and that includes their freaking staff. We need to put limits on how long you can work for the federal government. And I don't mean that you can then quit after 10 years and go work in a different agency. No, 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 no. You get to live fat off, high on the hog, off the government's, teat for 10 years, and then you're out. And you have to take a cooling off period before you go and work whatever industry that you were helping out through the government. So there's got to be rules. There's got to be guardrails in place, because otherwise we wind up with a freaking runaway train that is, 3 steps away from freaking crashing into the wall. Go ahead, Jeff. And then I want to get to this number 8.
Yeah, my buddy James, he runs a gym for veterans because he knows how high the suicide rate is for our veterans. And it really concerns me that the prescription drug market, and especially with the children, has caused the suicide rate to go up. I don't know what the percentage is, probably 13 times when you take those prescription drugs.
Oh, it's disgusting.
It really disappoints me.
They've harmed
Oh, yes,
us.
Southern, I wanted to give you.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I'm fired up
please.
tonight. I'm like, No, they have harmed us from so many different angles, right? They've suppressed our speech. They've poisoned our food. They've poisoned our water. They've poisoned our air. They've poisoned our minds. They've poisoned our children. They've killed our children. They've raped our children. They've trafficked our children. You name it. Like, the most heinous of things our government has been doing to us on a grand scale. That's just ridiculous. And even for a quarter of that
I did
to be
want
a
to.
thing is just, ugh.
I just wanted to remind Southern that the political machine, the Democrat political machine, is so ingrained in the unions, in the Department of Education, in the government positions and jobs, nepotism, that only 2 mayors of Houston, Texas were Republican in almost 200 years since 1835. So that's -8 or -9, 9, 10, 10. And it's just a little bit short, 10 years short. And the reason that where the Republican Party was founded in slave quarters has always been ruled by the Democrats is because the Dixiecrats political machine takes over in the South. And in the North, it's the unions, but it's the clique in between it. And until you break that modus operandi of nepotism and favoritism, getting the positions, lesser quality people, then we're just going to keep going down the same road. And it's hard to ask the rats to guard the cheese.
Well, that's up to
real
us,
hard.
right? Like, we have to make sure that you earn it. Like, meritocracy is our responsibility, right? As bosses or as leaders or as even, entry level jobs. again, it goes back to knowing the value that we have. And they have, turned us away from God, which, reinforces love and value and support. They've destroyed the nuclear family with divorces and, sexcapades. And, it's, you know, they pay women to not have a man in the house. These men have like 5 baby mamas. Each of them has a house, and they get paid more money the more kids they have. What? What are we doing here? And then those kids are not getting like any sort of like real instruction or love or support or anything like that. They wind up shooting each other, killing each other. And I'm not just talking about black people. I'm talking about white people, is the poor. It's poor, right? That and they are down there because they get a handout instead of a hand up, which was why I was so excited about the big beautiful bill. When we looked into those Medicaid cuts, it wasn't the Democrats said 2.4 million people are going to lose their health care and die. Yeah, guess what? That's probably illegals or people that don't qualify. If you're able bodied and you don't have any kids that you need to take home and take care of, then your ass needs to at least volunteer for 20 hours a week. That is not too much to ask. And who knows, you might meet a person that does something that you love to do and you're good at, and then you can have a legitimate job and get off the government teat. That's how most of those stories are going to end.
I'd rather
Amen. Amen.
I'd rather go
Amen.
to a place that has no hospitals where everybody's healthy because there's no hospitals, and it seems like the place that has the most hospitals, that's where the people are
I
getting
think
the
we should turn
sickest.
all the hospitals into like beautiful everything you could ever want that is healthy for you, and you can go from room to room and there's fresh flowers and I mean, we could turn it into something else like I don't know,
Yeah.
goodness center.
Yeah, health and
Right.
wellness, a health and wellness center. Just to add about Medicaid, did y'all notice this week? First of all, what's his name? Hakeem Jeffries comes out about Trump's cutting Medicaid. You're going to lose your benefits, all this mess. They took people who weren't supposed to be on it off the
Exactly.
roll. Okay, but this is what the Democrats, they voted in lockstep not to extend Medicaid for developmental disabilities. Now think about
Right.
that.
So they sit there and they say that we're hurting these people, that these poor people, and then they vote to actually block people that need it. That it's just sick. Go ahead, Rusty.
Terrible that all the sugar and terrible foods that are in those carts, and those people are 300 and 400 pounds on food stamps, and they have put this lettuce and the fruits and the vegetables completely out of it and
And
just
they
put all the
can make
crap
it
into
taste
it.
the
It's
same.
terrible.
They can make it
Terrible.
taste the same and be healthy. That's the thing. Go ahead, Rusty.
Good afternoon. I hadn't seen you guys in a while. I don't know if it's like the algorithm or whatever. But I just want to tell you, Kim, you are doing a fantastic job with this space. I mean, you really are just kind of reading this and touching base on different points. And I really just wanted to tell you that
Oh, thank you.
I don't mean it to sound condescending, but I'm just so proud of you. I've really watched you kind of blossom, and you just really hold some great spaces, very informative content. So I just really want to thank you for that. And something else you had said, you're right. When you pull all of this stuff together, I mean, I always believed in God, but you see the devil and all. I mean, it's too coordinated, but it's also too coordinated for it to be a person, if that makes sense. Do you know what I'm saying? One person or a group. You can really see the hand of the devil on this, which also reaffirms if you see the devil, then you know there's God. And I believe us awakening these spaces, not just, I'm not saying just Twitter, but I know, I certainly have learned a lot, and it certainly has uh, been a part of my awakening. But I truly believe that people waking up and opening their eyes, and I think it's more than just the censorship letting up that's God too, is what I guess what I was trying to say. But I just really wanted to thank you so much, and I enjoy listening to you and Southern and just all of you guys. So thank you again.
Well, we always love it when you come up, and that was really sweet. Thank you so much. Yeah. So earlier, I think it was maybe Sunday, I was watching a Mike Benz video where he was like breaking down like a seminar that one of these censorship pricks, I don't even remember her name, like Lisa something, but she was, giving a talk on she was teaching people how to spy on Americans and how to censor Americans and like doing these things that and Mike started going, we trained you how to do this. We paid you money. We made it so that you could do this. And then you freaking flipped it around and used it on us with our money. Like, and it just lit me up. And I was like, fuck this. We are going to talk about, I don't care if it's echo chamber. I don't care if there's 10 people in here. I am going to scream from the rooftops that these people cannot do what they did and get away with it. No friggin' way. And if that means we got to read these documents over and over and over again, I'm going to do it. Because every time I read them, I learn something new. And knowing what we know now, you can put that filter on, you can put that next layer on. We know that there was we know that Obama instigated it. We know that they were using USAID money. We know that, it's all these things. We know that they have the ability to do mind control and that they never stopped Operation Mockingbird or whatever. We know about Operation Paperclip. I didn't know anything about any of this stuff. I didn't know anything about any of it. I mean, I thought that politicians were corrupt, evil shits, but I had no idea that they were doing this to this level. And that's my fault, right? But is it? I mean, why aren't we taught in school when we're getting ready to turn 18? I think it should be a high school class on civics, how to get involved in your local party. Why weren't the adults taking the kids to the GOP meeting? It's not that bad. My son actually enjoys it. I mean, I can't get him to go all the time, but he's 14, so whatever. But why weren't we exposed to this stuff?
Yep. I just want to pop this in. Talking about USAID is not USAID. It's U.S. Agency of International Development. It was set up by John F. Kennedy during the boogeyman of communism. They went out to do economic and then humanitarian and form democracy. So they were sending out USAID people. Now think about that. We're putting people out there to form and shape the messaging of democracy in somebody else's country. The CIA was tagged from the very beginning to go along. Why? They kind of came into USAID because John Kennedy wanted to know what's the commie situation going on. So it was for information. It was who are the people that are doing this and what can we do? What's happening there? It was never about aid. People see USAID, and I did the same thing. And then one day I'm looking at it and I went, what? I got to read because you get so used to these acronyms in the government. We're always talking alphabet soup. But this was set up to keep a temperature reading in all these countries about communism.
Oh, yeah. I
Because
can't even
he was
imagine.
freaked out. He was, because of the Bay of Pigs, Cuba, all of that.
And look what
They
it
just
did. It got him
saw,
killed.
well, it got him killed because he didn't invade. And he didn't do some other thing. He wanted to take down the Federal Reserve. He wanted the FBI wiped off the earth. He wanted to get rid of the Federal Reserve.
But he didn't have enough people awake to do it, right? It's just him.
He was like a Trump coming in because he didn't come from a political family, and he didn't really want to be president. That was his brother Joe, but his father Joe said, no, you're next. You're the next son. So in my head, he kind of went in. He's a very smart man, but I don't think, and then you had Bobby Kennedy in there. You know, when's the last time you saw family members in the executive of our government? So bottom line is, it was always set up for not for what it meant. And that's the problem when you deal with Democrats. How they use words, we're smart enough to know what that word is, but they've reshaped the definition and the
They
message
use
around
our
it.
language, not our dictionary. That's what Alvin says
Exactly.
all the time. All right, I'm gonna get to number 8 real quick. I'm gonna read it and then Chris, I'm gonna come to you and then I'll go to Jeff and then I'll go to Beam. All right. Okay, so how Twitter quietly aided the Pentagon's covert online PSYOP campaign. Li Fang takes a fascinating detour, looking at how Twitter for years approved and supported Pentagon-backed covert operations, noting the company explicitly testified to Congress that it didn't allow such behavior. The platform nonetheless was a clear partner in the state-backed programs involving fake accounts. Key revelations. After the U.S. Central Command, or CENTCOM, sent over a list of 52 Arab language accounts we use to amplify certain messages, Twitter agreed to, quote, whitelist them. Ultimately, the program would be outed in the Washington Post in 2022, 2 years after Twitter and other platforms stopped assisting, but contrary to what came out in those reports. Twitter knew about and or assisted in these programs for at least 3 years, from 2017, after the whole Hillary lost, to 2020. Lee wrote a companion piece for The Intercept here, and I'm not going to go to that. But yeah, so they were taking, and so not only were they censoring and suppressing truth, right? Then they were amplifying certain messages and certain accounts, really divisive accounts, right? And they were doing this on not just Twitter, but they were doing it on Facebook. They were pitting people against each other and creating this division and this turmoil and chaos and keeping the truth away. And to the point where there are still people that don't talk to family members. I was fortunate and most of my family was A-okay. I've still got a couple out there that are a little on the fence, but whatever. But some people, like, it destroyed the relationships with their children, with their grandchildren. I mean, sisters, brother, the whole 9 yards. It's just incredible. And it was all run through the Pentagon. Twitter and the other government agencies. The Christmas Eve thread, I should have waited a few days to publish, further details how the channels of communication between the federal government and Twitter operated and reveals that Twitter directly or indirectly received lists of flagged content from, quote, other government agencies, i.e., the CIA. Key revelations. CIA officials attended at least one conference with Twitter in summer of 2020, and companies like Twitter and Facebook received OGA briefings. At their regular quote industry meetings held in conjunction with the FBI and the Department of Homeland Security. The FBI and the quote Foreign Influence Task Force met regularly, quote, not just with Twitter, but with Yahoo, Twitch, Cloudflare, LinkedIn, and even Wikimedia. Wikimedia. Wow. Think about that. Think about, like, just the level of what? I just again, and I've been through these before, right? But it has been since they dropped, since we've really dug into any of these things. All right, go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, I sent you a video that I'd like for you to play when you get a chance. I think think that we should play this and every space, every civic space.
What did you text it to me?
Yeah, it's I put it in the AM
Oh,
DM.
okay. Oh, in the
Uh,
DM on Twitter? Okay.
yeah, I think that we should play this at some point during every civics space.
Perfect. And I'm gonna not read any more Twitter files tonight. We're gonna end on 9, but we'll continue the discussion, but I think we've got enough material here to finish the space in the next hour or so. All right, hang on. I'll go get the video. Why don't you go, Jeff, and then we'll go to Beam.
You know, some of the greatest, most distinguished people I've ever met in my life in Texas. And
Jeff, you're kind of rubber banding a little bit.
all right.
Somebody buy Jeff 14 Starlinks, please. I always want to hear what he has to say, and he rugs. Jeff. Go ahead, Beam. We'll figure out Jeff's robot in a minute.
I was gonna say about the Medicaid cuts. I think it's about 5 something%. So I mean, it seems like a huge number, and then all these things kind of come out in the usually liberal-leaning mainstream media that talk about how bad it's going to be. But I'm pretty sure if you look into it over the next 10 years, that's what's cut, and it's like about 5%. So I wanted to throw that out. I'm enjoying reviewing this stuff when it goes to the Twitter files. It's like we were told that it was a conspiracy theory if we opened our mouths about any of it, if we sensed it was going on. So add that to this consideration too.
100%. 100.
Chris, where did you put this thing? Because I can't find it. Guys, I have way too many communication paths.
All right, I'll send personal text.
Yes, that would be lovely. But that's the best way to get.
Jeff, why don't you try again, see if we can hear you?
Jeff.
I've got a dead battery, and can you guys hear me 5x5?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
I was just saying that, I remember Dr. Red Duke down in Houston, the University of Health, Texas Health Science Center. He's one of the greatest doctors. We used to see him on TV every week. And, they saved millions of people's lives in Houston and many medical centers around the world. And just wanted to tell you guys how much we appreciate y'all, Southern. And, Ray Elliott, she was in charge of the whole Skurlock Tower. She was top nurse for 45 years in the medical center, worked at all the big hospitals there. And one of the most classiest ladies I've ever met my entire life. Very classy, just like you, Southern.
I got the video.
Why, thank you, Jeff.
Aww.
Bless your little heart. Thank you.
He's so sweet.
I just see us condemning a lot of we're picking on the medical community because of prescription drugs and other things, but just for the most part, when you're dying and you need to be put back together and made whole again, you're in the Houston Medical Center or any of those great places around the world, you're going to get taken care of, and that's a fact.
Listen, there's plenty of good Americans out there, and good doctors and nurses and things like that. I see, again, there's never been a time when we can change things. We can just do different, right? Like, we've got to get back to taking back over our healthcare, getting it away from the insurance companies. Like, I want to see hospitals that don't take insurance, where the doctors all like share in the monies or whatever, but we don't need insurance companies. What are we doing? I mean, I went to get a prescription drug, and I went to the dermatologist and I was like, hey, I'm getting low on this. I don't want to be without it if I need it. I don't take it all the time, nothing like that. She calls me today and she's like, well, because you have the oral version, the insurance company won't pay for your topical. Now, I pay, I don't know, $500 a paycheck. Okay. So let's say $1,000 a month in health insurance for my family. Okay. I don't use it. Like, I'm healthy. I don't go to I go to the dermatologist because I live in Florida and I have moles. So I go, right? And I go to the lady doctor because I think it's important to go to the lady doctor. And even that I'm questioning at this point. But for them to deny me a tube of cream because I don't want to take the pills because they make me nauseous and I'd like to treat things topically if I can, which this is for topical thing, right? They denied me. So I had to tell the doctor, yeah, the pills make me nauseous. Okay. Now you're going to go back to the freaking, cubicle jockey over there and they're going to decide whether or not I can have the cream or not that I pay $1,000 a month for. Like, what are we doing? Why am I paying these people to sit in their cubicles and tell me no?
Well, unfortunately, medicine is big business. Big companies, business companies are buying up hospitals. Hospitals are now systems because now they own 75% of all primary care
Yeah, we
practices.
just got to
They
stop
own
going.
the imaging centers, think about everything. Pretty much first level care. And they also own a lot of the orthopedic surgical centers. So they're a business. Now, the business is our first priority is profit. Our next priority is risk management. And how do we lower risk management so we won't get sued? Well, we have a patient protocol. We will not deviate from it because we don't want to manage risk. And the third thing on there is something called a patient. Now, think about that. They're not going to deviate from their protocol because the way it gets reimbursed and how they've managed to say, if you do XYZ, if we get sued, we're okay. We won't have to pay out. I don't
Always
really
goes
hear
back to
patient care.
All right. Well,
Lawyers and
yeah,
money.
yeah, and that's exactly right. And I think that again, we've got somebody in like running our health portion of the government that is, he's a disruptor. He is shaking it up and he's getting out the rot. Okay, I mean, these people have been lying to us. I mean, the whole food pyramid's upside down. And so we can cure us, and that's why people like Dr. Angela are so important, and having spaces where we talk about things that you can do to be healthy, take back over control of your own health. And then when we do that, then they can't have our money anymore. Like, I'm thinking seriously about not having health insurance next year, because if I can't even get a tube of freaking cream filled because there's an oral option that I already have a prescription for. Are you kidding me? I don't need to pay $1,000 a month when I'm perfectly healthy. So that's what we've got to do, is we've got to start walking away from these systems, that these systems are there to entrap us and enslave us. And they are not there to make us, happy, healthy, and, skipping through the meadow. All right, let me play this video.
Kim, send me your prescription. DM me on it.
Okay, I will.
No. If you ask 100 people on the street, what kind of government is America supposed to be? 99% of them will tell you a democracy. But that's a lie. The word democracy is not written into the Constitution one time. It's not in the Bill of Rights. It's not in the Declaration of Independence. The founding fathers hated the idea of a democracy. They thought it was the worst form of government there is. And I agree with them. Because in a democracy, 51% of the people control 49% of the people. If you're part of the 49%, you're not free. America was founded as a constitutional republic. And in that constitutional republic that we have, 99% of the people can't take away the rights of 1%. You have your rights because you were born with them, human rights that nobody can take away from you. The government, the majority, no matter who they are, I can't take away your rights. And that's what our founding fathers gave us. But the psychological operations that they do to us, they make us believe that we're a democracy and that majority rules. You see? And they want you to believe that. Because then they say this poll says this many want this and this many want that and this many want this. And it doesn't have anything to do with anything. You hear George Bush saying democracy means freedom. No. Democracy equals New World Order. Democracy equals slavery. The word democracy is not synonymous with freedom. It's the opposite of freedom. Democracy is the worst form of government you can have. It's majority rule. And the government can tell you exactly what they want to tell you to do. The majority wants it. I don't care what the majority wants. I live my life as I choose. And if I don't commit violence, theft, or fraud against another human being, I can live my life as I wish. That's my choice. And if I'm allowed to make mistakes, because when you make mistakes, you learn from them. You grow as a human being. We're put on this earth to become the best individuals we can be. Right? We're not here to put on this earth so the government can tell us how to live our lives and what we must do. We put into these systems and these paradigms. No.
That's so good. I think I need to like stare in the mirror every morning and say that over and over and over again.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody needs to listen to that every day and remind themselves that the people who signed their names on the Declaration of Independence, who knew that they were laying down their lives, signing away their fortunes, their sacred honor, were doing it because of freedom and liberty and principles of the individual. And when they wrote the Constitution, they told the government what they couldn't do. And we need to remember that. And we need to remind the government of that. And the people who were elected are not there to rule. They're there to serve.
Neither are the staff, the people that are hired. We got to get them straightened out because they've gotten too big for their damn britches and they're running the show.
Well,
and we can't get at them.
Don't abuse the people on the phone.
I'm not going to abuse nobody. I'm going to
I'm
tell you, you know what you
I'm
did.
I'm
And if you did something wrong, you're going to bye-bye.
the people who are answering the phones are not the people that you're talking about.
No, I want the creatures in the basement writing the bills.
So,
But Matt Zimmerman's working on a list for us.
but the bottom line is that we have a country that's built on individual rights that were given to us by our creator. And our creator is not John D. Rockefeller or the Federal Reserve.
How did we get to form this country with those guys? Were they still stuck over, they were too absorbed in Europe at that time and not paying attention to us? Like, how did that happen?
Our creator is God. And
No. I know that. I'm talking about the founding fathers. How did they slip that by?
They had big like in France or something, they would, or Britain or something, had like a huge investment like firms or something that they could turn. I remember hearing about it in like South Africa, that they were appealing to some of those. I think that's what those types of moguls like emerged out of.
I know what you're saying, Chris, but I was saying, like, I know that it's our creator, but it's by the grace of God that our founding fathers were able to form this more perfect
Perfect
union.
union.
Yeah, exactly. And that is, I mean, it had to have been something divine, because the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds and all these robber baron families were around during that time.
Well, no, they weren't around.
They
Yeah,
were in
they
Europe.
were.
They were in
They were,
Europe.
They were
yeah,
in Europe, though. They weren't.
Yeah,
They took
yeah,
their eye off the
yeah.
ball.
but I'll just leave you with this. Prayer is what you say to the person who loves you the most. Just remember that.
Another goosebump moment, Chris. Chris, I do have a question.
Yes.
I am embarrassed to say this, but I didn't know this until a few years ago. People who signed the Constitution, some were killed, or their wealth was taken away, family was taken away. They did not have an easy life.
That was the Declaration of Independence.
I mean, Declaration of Independence. They did not have a good life. So for them to sign that signature, put their life at risk, and they still signed, and they put a formidable document that we have benefited from, even when things slide a little. But that document is amazing.
And the majority of them were in their 20s.
Yeah, yeah.
Can I actually say
And
something like historical and literal? I'm just dying to say that over here, but it's fine. I can wait a second too.
Go ahead.
I mean,
jump in.
yeah, the Spain and France got into an alliance in like the 30s and 40s of the 18th century, and so they yeah, like Britain was basically pretty much aligned with like the Holy Roman Empire, and so like there was all these wars that they were distracted with, in Europe at that exact moment, and like just so many questions and existential questions over there that yeah, that they that had a lot to do with it, I think. Not to mention the numerous wars that people in the colonies and stuff were drug into before that. So I mean, yeah, it's frustrating. It's been probably like centuries and centuries of situations where like Dutch and Spanish soldiers were kind of getting along for a moment, and now they get a ship or some news that says, "Oh yeah, by the way, 3 weeks ago, they declared war again," or like we're at this kind of level of relationship again. I mean, the Venetians, I mean, it's an ancient situation of like crazy back and forths, and maybe the colonialists didn't want to, maybe the people in the colonies didn't want to fight each other for like silly European wars forever, and foresaw that like wisely. But anyway, I just wanted to like throw that out there. They were really distracted at that time and bogged down with all this other stuff, like sabotaging each other.
Well, I'm putting on my tinfoil scrunchie for a minute, but Jen sent me down a rabbit hole one time talking about how, what if Britain, like they let us sort of like they walked away from the war, right? And so the revolution. So they're like, all right, we'll let you think you won, but we're gonna slowly boil you and do all of the things that they've done to us over the years, by still holding some control. I mean, we've got the royal crown holding control. We've got Israel holding control. We've got all of these crazy world organizations trying to hold control. And I'm pretty sure, I would say, this is a conservative guesstimate, 40% of our government are communists. 40%. That's low, I think.
I mean, there's so much history there. The French were being, they had a religious war against their Protestant population, right? So when the French king helped us out, Louis XVI, how did he get repaid for that? I mean, couldn't by us. What happened was there's a revolution, they cut his head off, right? So like, maybe who knows? It's never could prove it, but maybe those old tensions in there were exploited somehow to cause maybe some unrest in France as a revenge for messing with their colonies. I mean, Britain survived all right; they were still in their high maritime age well after that, so dominating the Mediterranean, the world in the naval front. But yeah, like I guess
I
it's
firmly believe the one conspiracy that she put out, that the Vatican, that Rome never fell, that it's the Vatican is ancient Rome. And therefore, you've got London City and you've got Washington, D.C., and you've got this whole global cabal thing going on. Again, another layer. We've been told, oh, it's conspiracy theory, blah, blah, blah. No, makes sense. Like,
I mean,
oh,
maybe it was like Constantinople never fell originally, but then they finally did and started dwindling and by Italian supremacy and stuff, like with naval on the naval front again. And like like they definitely split in like 1500. Like the Portuguese and Spanish declared all the seas theirs in 1494, and then like for the Protestant Revolution, the Protestant Rebellion turned into a full flung thing, so they could have they developed their own banks up north, and we were extremely like pitted against each other. The Anglican Church dominating England was like the highest figure was the crown, and like they kind of rebelled, but
I mean,
there's a connection. There's a
Christopher
weird connection with the Holy Roman Empire, which didn't dissolve until 1809, and then that's with Austria and those kings. And I mean, there is something, and it was really hard for like even Frederick to declare himself like an emperor. It was very nobody wanted to challenge the Holy Roman Emperor. But I know I'm getting into the weeds, but
well, and I mean, listen, you mentioned 1490. I mean, look at 1492, Columbus. It's a lie.
Christopher
It's a lie.
Columbus.
He didn't even touch down on the Americas. He landed in freaking Hispaniola. Okay. So, like, again, we've got, there's so many different levels of fuckery going on here that we have been taught, told, and sold a bill of goods.
there was two Spains in 1494, by the way. How many
Yeah.
people know that?
Did not know that.
Aragon and was it Castile? Aragon was more focused inwardly in the Mediterranean. Castile did the, seafaring stuff.
Spain is definitely
We're,
an interesting
we're
country, because I mean they have been volatile for so long. I mean the fighting that goes on there is incredible, but it always gets overshadowed by the Middle East.
I'm sorry, I couldn't help myself to go into history, but I don't want to distract the space.
Oh, Jeff, you're roboting again.
the Canadian states.
Stand on one leg and put your arm up, then talk. Oh, they're always trying to keep the man down.
Go ahead, Beam.
Oh, I forgot. I just was throwing that whatever it was little thing out there. I forgot what it was again.
All right. Well, listen.
Oh, I'm sorry for distracting the space. I want to get back to the Twitter files almost personally. I can't help
Yeah.
myself going
No.
into history though.
I know. Well, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap the space, and we'll continue with the Twitter files probably either Friday later night, maybe 10 o'clock or something, or Saturday. We will do the space and finish those up. And I'm trying to coordinate with Millie Weaver for next Tuesday, where we will go through the Sunrise Zoom calls and the document called The Count, which basically is the blueprint for January 6th. And everybody can see, like right there in black and white, everybody who's involved, they gamed it first in this blueprint. That's sort of talking about the Transition Integrity Project that I mentioned earlier in the evening, where they ran like real scenarios where who played Joe Biden? I think it was either Jamie Raskin or Adam Schiff. One of those two played Joe Biden. It's
Was it
insane.
Pete? I was trying to remember if it was Pete Buttigieg.
No, it wasn't.
It wasn't him. Okay.
It was. Oh, maybe it was. No, maybe it was. John Podesta. That's who it was. John Podesta played Joe Biden.
Well,
Ugh.
that was better typecasting for that.
Oh God, yeah.
No.
Like gross. And and you had Republicans involved, Democrats involved, you had activists involved, you had federal employees that were activists, which is a big no-no. There is an entire group. It's Feds for Democracy, which is its own activism group inside of our government, which is again a no-no. You're not allowed to belong to partisan groups when you work for the freaking government. That's just so asinine. So yes, we've got when I say Feds for Democracy, these people, like, they had manuals for like how to that's what Mike Benz was talking about, or showing. The woman in the seminar was teaching people how to be civil disobedience, right? And how to have sit-ins, and how to disrupt, and how to stop normal day lives for people. How in that manual they had how to build bombs, and it just absolutely
And how risk averse are you?
right, exactly. They have tests in there to see if have the right mindset. There's games that they played with younger children to see, to influence their mind, and see if they, had a propensity to be a democratic leader. I mean, some really freaking communist shit in there. So we'll get into that, and that's probably going to take several civic spaces. So like I said, I want to coordinate with Millie, because I'd love to have her there, because all the work that she's done. And Millie, and so it came out in the Twitter files that Millie's work on Sunrise Zoom calls, which she infiltrated these people's the Sunrise movement, along with Shut Down DC or Occupy DC or whatever. They all got together with government employees, and they would have these Zoom calls where they would strategize for if Trump wouldn't concede. Okay. It never was that he was going to win, or if he did win. No, that they never ran a scenario where he won, because they knew they had it rigged. So it's, talk about triggering. You guys will really enjoy that one. So stay tuned. And I want to thank everybody for coming. I want to thank all my multitude of co-hosts. Kelly, my rock, thank you so much for all of the documentation that you provided, and throwing in some color in there. Southern, always a treat. Rusty, it's so good to see you. Adam, miss your face, miss your Saturday spaces. Maybe you can do that again sometime. Jeff, I love even your robot. I love. And Beam, thank you for contributing all of the history stuff. And Mr. Philby, you're a gem. Thanks for co-hosting, and I hope you're in a better mood, because I feel like you're not as surly as you were earlier.
Sorry, I had to bug out. I had an emergency.
Oh, are you all right? Am I gonna have to do a wellness check on you, Chris?
Yes, we'll have to make a trip.
I'm fine.
I only go to DC in January when it's colder than a witch's titty.
Yeah, I want to go when it's like the dog was blooming.
We're not.
Spring, Easter time.
No more rickshaw rides. That's all there is to it.
Well, at least it was with you. Oh, look at who decided to show up late night.
We have a picture.
We do. We have several pictures.
What, Pepe?
Yeah. Oh, Pepe.
Okay, before Pepe blesses
I
us
was
with his
here earlier.
wisdom, I want to say hi and appreciate the people who stuck around on Rumble and Substack. Oh my God, we can stream to Substack now.
That's so
And
cool.
it's so cool. I know, right? And the Pilled people and the X-Live people and anybody who happened to be listening to through our website. But
Oh yeah, that's the other
Oh
This is
thing.
my
gonna be an
God.
That's
AMS
the
Oh
other
my
event.
thing
God.
Kelly does, is she not only provides documentation and co-hosts like a champ, she also streams to multiple platforms at the same time and is involved in the chats. So no, you can't have her. Back off.
And maybe we should keep Substack now.
I
Yeah.
didn't say we were getting rid of it.
Guess what, guys? I'm in a couple of the AI spaces learning, and they use me for my wisdom and experience. It means I'm old. I give them the human touch, and they give me the technical touch. So, yeah, I was part of the beta this weekend where for spaces, it will take your recorded space, it will sum it up in a summary or bullet points, kind of shaping it. And now you have that. And, you think about being on spaces, what did they say? I'm trying to remember that. This was something we could post up and pin so people can get it. Because it's hard. Like, I try to go back to recorded spaces and I am flipping through it, trying to get something and all that. But if I could get like a great summary.
Oh my God, is it going to give you like timestamps and stuff?
I don't know about the timestamps. He's building the first deck and we're able to play with it, and it's got some glitches. But there's about 10 of us. So we're all going through and complaining to him. And he's like, I said, yeah, all women beta testers. Did you think that through? But anyway.
But your attention to detail. That's
Yeah,
hilarious.
well, and we want it to be intuitive as well. So, but he's working on it now. And if that's going to be good, I see that being a huge resource for spaces. Because, a lot of people can't come to spaces because they can't spend 3 hours. And if we have something, then they go, wow, I want to know more about that. Now they've got the recording, they can flip it and find it. So I think it would increase visits, and it's a tangible product to walk away with. They could have it, pin it up on their thingy or whatever they want to do. So I think it's amazing. Also, by doing Twitter Spaces with history that you have now with video, oral, and recorded and written, I think that is something we could turn into something pretty special because it's history. It's our living history, which now we turn around and look at our past going, yeah, that wasn't in my history books. So I think it's a good oral. Can you imagine the next generation going through this to get this information? I think we'd have better educated kids and they would think about it, use critical thinking skill sets. And we have a job here to mentor and support that. So I see this kind of moving through. And I'm excited about that. It's an oral living history. And this is a way for us to keep the truth out there in the next generation. And that is something very exciting.
I love it. I'm super excited about that. I think that you know, spaces can only go up. And it gives me hope that they're going to figure out a way to monetize spaces, because this is where you get the most engagement and the most crucial human interaction, right? And you're right, it is a living history going on in real time. um i I am so much freaking smarter now than I was before I learned about this platform, by I mean exponentially.
If we're going to talk about monetizing, it triggered me, right? Let's get the class action suit against Stripe and X going, right? Because I'm sure people
One
are
or
still
the
getting
other.
money taken out of their bank accounts to pay for subscribers who's not getting any money. And we need a white knight attorney to come through and take the case because they need to go down. All right.
No, I agree with you. We got to find an attorney. Everybody know an attorney out there that wants to take on this case. You have locked in, you have evidence, like people's accounts are being withdrawn because they think that they are subscribed to someone, but X or Stripe has demonetized them, but they're still removing the money from the subscriber's account and not telling either party.
Right. There's a
And then
legal
they're holding,
memorandum. Yeah.
they're not even holding the money. The money is, they're not even keeping a tally of it. They're just putting it into their own coffers.
Yeah. Making interest off of it. And according to Stripe, they've received a legal memorandum from Mr. Mystery saying that they can't pay certain people. They didn't tell X, they didn't tell the people subscribing, anything like that. So yeah, they just go down, man. Let's take them down.
Yeah, and I think that all of the people that have been harmed are just tired. I mean, I know that Jen. It's like I'm like, gotta keep going, gotta keep fighting it. Don't stop now. We're almost to that finish line. But this is definitely the issue that has got to be rectified, because it's still going on. The censorship is still going on Twitter. The government still has access to the back door. Like, we need to shut down the back door and light a fire in the backyard and say, get the F out of here. Like, no more. All right, Pepe, you want to go before I shut down this space? Because I'm done. I got to go say hi to my
Chris is gonna
husband.
go do AM After Dark, right?
Chris, are you taking over the account?
Or maybe just open a new space because we don't want to happen like
Oh
last
yeah,
time.
let's do that.
Yes.
Can we do that?
Yeah.
Please, because I do want to keep
Yeah,
this.
we don't want to ruin the space.
We just don't want to add the extra color. How about that? It's not ruining
Yes.
it. All right, guys, I'm gonna shut this down. Thanks everybody for coming. Thank you for
Where
reposting.
where does Norwood live? He's not in California, right?
Yeah, he is.
Oh God. All right.
Why?
I just yeah.
Are you gonna invite him to your space?
I'm just saying, it's out there.
Apparently, Norwood really entertained Chris the other night.
Norwood,
What
Norwood,
wasn't it?
boy, I tell you, he's special. That's for sure.
It wasn't a night. It was a Sunday afternoon.
Oh, right.
People were coming home from church.
Whose space was it? Because I need to go listen to some of that.
Heather.
Okay, I'll go find it. All right, guys. I hope everybody has a great night. Craig, I see you down there. Hope you're feeling better. All right, Pepe, good to see you. I'll see you in the after dark in a bit after I talk to my husband. All right, bye.
Bye.
God blesses everyone, Chris. What happened?
Bye. Bye, y'all.